sauce, made specially for you. So if you like hot sauce, you'll love Great White hot sauce. It's the hot sauce that bites back. Find it at www.trygreatwhite.com.
Well, here we are, episode 65. And on this episode, I bring back my buddy Mark Smith from the Music Relish podcast. We're going to talk about the death of Paul Ryder, co-founder of the Happy Mondays, and RocDocs, rock documentaries. I think Mark likes those. So sit back, take a listen, enjoy the show.
Running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
The KOFB studio presents Milk Crates and Turntables, a music discussion podcast hosted by Scott McLean. Now, let's talk music. Enjoy the show.
All right, welcome to the podcast. Let me do a little fixing here on the live stream. Like I said, welcome to the podcast. You know the name of it, so I'm not going to say it unless you're watching on Twitch. Since this podcast, well, it was new to Twitch before. Then I went off Twitch. Now I'm back on Twitch. So, name podcast Milk Crates and Turntables, as you probably see if you're watching on Twitch. So, anyways, I forgot to say thank you to Amanda for that wonderful introduction. Amanda's going off to college. Yeah, she's going to FSU, Florida State University, where her brother just graduated from there. So one leaves, one comes back. It's okay though. They like having him around. Yeah, like I said in the intro. I'm bringing on my buddy Mark Smith from the Music Relish podcast.
How you doing, Scott?
Good. So I think you saw that I put the right intro up this week.
It's about time.
Yeah. If you listened last week, I put the wrong fucking intro up. And then I was like, I'm just going to edit it. You know, I'm doing the live stream. That's what it's for. Just edit up. And then I did it that night, right? I always upload it after the live stream. I said, fuck it. Just let it go. They don't care.
It's like live music. Shit happens.
Yeah, they don't care. I think they actually like it when I have those small disasters. I think people just like, yeah, you got them haters out there, buddy. They got the live stream haters. But so what's up, buddy? How you been?
Doing good. Enjoying the heat. I'm not going to think that I can compete with you with heat, but I'm enjoying the heat of the Northeast. It's wonderful.
You know, you live down here enough, and Tom Spallone, a host of the Going Postal podcast, will tell you, you kind of you learn how to work around the heat down here. It's not like it's walking on the fucking sun. People are like, Florida, it's fucking hot down there. It's humid up there too.
Yeah.
I remember being in New Jersey. I was stopping by to see somebody on my way to somewhere, I don't know. And it was in the summer, and it's like, what the fuck? The breeze was hot.
Yeah.
It was like I was in a confection oven.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what the hell?
New Jersey is the armpit of the East Coast. Come on.
It's hot. And then why are the taxes so high?
I don't know. I live in New York now.
There you go.
Maybe a half mile over the border, but I'm in New York.
but I'm in New York, so it doesn't matter to me anymore. It's like people from Massachusetts move to New Hampshire, so they don't have to pay state taxes. Just go right over the border, and it's the same thing.
Do they complain about the winters?
Yeah, they do. I notice my friends, as we get older, they get more grumpy in the winter, and more of them are saying, I got to get the fuck out of here. Like, I got to get down to Florida. We don't want you.
I got an uncle, 73 years old, 74. He lives in Vermont. He's never leaving. He loves it. Winter, he's loving it.
Yeah.
So to each their own, you know.
Yeah, I have friends that have no problem with it. It's, you know, but I've been away from it so long. I could never go back to living it. It's just not going to happen. So, how's everything going with the Music Relish podcast, which people should tune into? If you like this show, you'll like that show.
It's going good. We're finding our groove, and Perry and Lou continue to be turning me on to different kinds of music. I've known them so many years, so we have a new feature where each week one of us tells the other two to listen to an album. We try to find something that the other two haven't heard. They brought up 2 albums I never heard of, and I loved them. And you may know one of them. Perry had me listen to Joe Strummer and the Mescaleros.
Oh, yeah.
I knew their first album, and this will show you how dumb I am about some things. I had their first album. I didn't know they put out 2 more albums, so we listened to Global Go-Go. I love that album.
So one of the things we're going to talk about tonight is RocDocs, right? Rock documentaries, music documentaries.
Yeah.
And let me get the name of it. The Future is Unwritten. Is it that one? Or is it might be The Future is Unwritten. It's a Joe Strummer documentary. And he's with the Mescaleros, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's one part, he's on like the Atlantic City boardwalk, and he's fucking like giving out tickets to the show, and people don't know who he is. Like, it's like, oh fuck. Some people recognize him,
yeah,
but he's out there himself. Like, hey, want to come to the show tonight? You know, just kind of fucking
handing out free tickets.
Yeah, wow. And just kind of shooting the shit. You know, it was cool as shit, man. And I'm pretty sure there's 2 good ones on him. I think that might be the one. The Future is Unwritten. Anything with Joe Strummer, any documentary with Joe Strummer is good. It's just fucking good. That's all there is to it.
Oh,
and I recommend seeking those out if you like rock documentaries. I remember when he died, a friend of mine, one of my dearest friends, Phil Kelly, you hear him mentioned all the time on this podcast. The fabulous Phil Kelly. He sent me, I hate saying texted. It's actually weird, but I always stop. He texted. He sent me a text.
There you go.
Saying texted just doesn't, but people say it. He texted me. It just doesn't sound right to me.
And after 5 drinks, it's chested. He chested me.
He chested me. And he sent me a text, and he says, Joe Strummer died. I feel like I just lost an old drinking buddy. Something to that. And he couldn't have fucking put it any better than that.
Exactly.
You know, it's like losing an old drinking buddy.
Yeah.
You know, and it was really, really too bad. Do you know the last video that he, Mick Jones and Paul Simonon appeared in together?
No.
It was Big Audio Dynamite's E = MC². Watch the video.
Okay.
It's a great fucking song, by the way. I don't know if you've ever listened to it.
I kind of missed the boat on Big Audio Dynamite because I worked with a guy that was the Mick Jones fan of Clash, and I was the Joe Strummer guy, so we just argued a lot. I argue.
I saw an interview with. I argue. I saw an interview with. I read an interview with him. I forget whatever publication it was, and the writer, the interviewer says during the interview, it's like they were down in a basement and or a cellar, and there was a street level like window or something to that effect, and somebody's walking by, and I guess they knew or they found out what was going on, and someone yells in like get the Clash back together, and he's like, go fuck yourself. Like he just yells it out, and like the dude just keeps walking, you know. I thought it was so fucking cool.
That's great.
But Joe Strummer was just, I mean, iconic.
Yeah.
In the rock.
whether he played to 50 people or 15 people or whether he was in a large theater, he was devoted to his music.
Yeah.
And what's sad is I think he died when he was going to get big again. I think the Mescaleros were on track.
There was no
to
doubt.
do something. Yeah.
There was no doubt. I got a one of the, not last record day, maybe was it last year? Maybe it was last year. I got up and went to record day. Like I got to this record store. They opened at 9. I got there at like literally like 5 in the morning. Fucking put the chair out front. The only one there. It's in this like it's in I forget the name of this the town, city next to me. And like I'm sitting there like a homeless person in a doorway, right? And I got there early because they had the Gorillaz, not the Gorillaz. Gorillaz released a box set of all their albums. And whoever does the marketing for that group, and I believe it's Damon Albarn has a lot to do with it, fucking brilliant marketing.
Yeah.
For Gorillaz. Fucking brilliant. They know how to get you. And they get me almost every. I don't know if you see in the background, right? That statue right there.
Oh, yeah.
That's a statue of 2D, one of the characters from Gorillaz, the lead singer. I had that made in the Philippines. Custom made. Yeah, 2 of them.
Wow.
There was 2 of them. And that one is the artist proof. That's the one that the guy made the mold out of. It's heavy. Whereas the other ones were like a fiberglass, a lighter one. And I gave one to my stepson because I turned him on to Gorillaz unknowingly. We're driving one day and I have it on because I got a big mix of music. And he's like, "Who's that?" And at first I had him listening to Korn. He loved Korn. Like he was all into him, right? I took him to see him, the whole thing. But Gorillaz, he just like lost his mind. Like he became like a super fan. I think during one of their tours 2 years ago, he had an Instagram account, fucking had like 250,000 followers or some shit like that.
Wow.
Yeah, and all he posted was Gorillaz stuff. So yeah, I had that made. But I'm sitting in front of the store, and one of the other things I got that day was a Joe Strummer Muscalero in the Muscaleros picture disc. That was pretty cool.
I love picture discs.
It's like a mug shot of him. It's a black and white, and he's just staring at but the fucked up thing is the hole in the middle of the vinyl is right on his nose. I can put it directly on his nose.
Better than his forehead, right?
Yeah. I also got a Deftones picture disc that day. You like the Deftones? Have you ever listened to them?
Never really listened to them. It's one of the bands that kind of flew under my radar.
Yeah, that was that new metal they called it, and we did a show on it. We talked about it in one of the podcast shows episodes about how a lot of these old metal guys didn't like that movement in the early 90s of the new metal. Yeah. They're mixing like the DJs in there,
new metal. But Korn that's my favorite band of that movement.
They're not new. See, that's the thing. I don't know how they get lumped in there. They don't have a DJ. They don't have any. They don't rap. I mean, it's not like Jonathan Davis is out there like Fred Durst.
But they definitely weren't like the old metal, and I think that's why they got lumped in.
They were just as hard though. Yeah, like, this shit is heavy.
Yeah,
this shit is heavy. I mean, they don't fuck around. There's nothing light with them.
Yep.
They're not going to pull an Alice Cooper and do an Only Women Bleed type fucking song. That's for sure. What was that? Although that was Alice selling out to the ballads. I bet you he looks back now. Although that song probably made him a lot of money.
Yeah.
Wonder if he ever looked back and said, "What the fuck was I thinking?"
Okay, I know the golf course he plays on in Arizona. I'll tell you what it is after the show. Go up to him and say, "The fuck were you thinking?"
Yeah. If I ever go back to Arizona, that's actually a Public Enemy song. Going back to Arizona, about how they were the last state to make Martin Luther King Day a federal holiday. It's actually, and I'm a big Public Enemy fan. So
Me too.
That's why I said
Me too.
Going back to Arizona.
Yeah.
I saw U2 with a bunch of my friends. I was stationed in New Mexico in Albuquerque at Kirtland Air Force Base, and I flew my late brother, God rest his soul, out to New Mexico. Then a bunch of us flew to Arizona and saw them at Sun Devil Stadium. Saw U2 with Rage Against the Machine backed them up. And I'll tell you what, man, we got there early in the day, and by fucking 5 o'clock, it was like 115 degrees.
Mhm.
Like they were out in the pool. I'm like, no. Did you ever see that James Wood movie Vampires? It's just called Vampires.
Yeah.
Really fucking good vampire movie. They would bury themselves in the dirt. Like I was like fucking that, except I closed all the curtains. I wasn't even letting a ray of fucking sun in that room. I would not walk out until the sun went down. And it was still fucking scorching hot.
Be like Al Pacino in that movie where he's in Alaska and he's keeping the curtains closed because he can't sleep and he's insomnia.
Yeah, yeah. Trust me, it was like fucking, what's it, 30 days of winter, 30 days of night or something like that. Everything's dark. I did that, man. But
I know. I was in Phoenix with my sister in July, 120 degrees. And rough. I couldn't even think of going to a concert.
And forget that. Oh, it's a dry heat. Yeah. Now I know what a fucking pizza feels like.
When you're baking a lasagna and you open your oven, that's dry heat.
That's
Do you
dry
like it?
heat. Exactly. And you always go, ooh, that's hot. No. I'll take a little or a lot of humidity. At least I get something out of it. It's not dehydrating me like you don't even know you're dehydrating in dry heat. You have no idea.
That's true.
You have no idea.
Until you pass out and then they're waking you up. What happened?
If you pass out on the cement, you're just going to be like an egg. They're going to, like a Stretch Armstrong melted onto the cement. They're going to peel you off. Your skin is going to stay behind. Fuck Arizona. They can have it. They can have all that shit. Anyways, so, it was a sad day for me last week. I don't know if you're a fan of the Happy Mondays, but Paul Ryder, the bass player and founding member, along with his brother, lead singer Sean Ryder, who, speaking of Gorillaz, does that song, Dare, Each Dare, Ooh. Anyways, watch the video.
I think you just turned me on to a new group.
Yeah. Oh, you don't. Dude, you will not be disappointed. Start from their first album. Yeah. Start from their first album. So that's my contribution to the Music Relish podcast.
Thank you.
Listen to the first Gorillaz album. Anyways. Okay. And you'll follow suit all the way through. Paul Ryder died, and it was kind of weird how he died. He lives in LA, or he lived in LA. And whenever they went on tour, he would go back to England. I think they were from Stratford, England, and made their way over to Manchester. They kind of bridged the gap, but I'll get to that in a while. And he got off the plane, and he was really complaining about a headache. My head's pounding. So he always stayed at his mother's house when he was on tour. So England would be like the central location. And went to bed and never woke up. His mom found him in the morning. And
wow.
Yeah, it was like, what the fuck? He was my age. He was 58.
Wow.
Yeah, so they don't know what it was. I'm waiting to see the follow-up on it. But I'll tell you what, the Happy Mondays, they were from Salford, not Stanford. They were a very, very unique group. I don't know if I would even go see them now without him, because that's just the way I am. It's like seeing ZZ Top without Dusty Hill. It just wouldn't be right to me, right?
Stones without Watts.
Yeah, absolutely. As much as he was the quietest one in the band, it's the same thing. So his brother Paul played the bass, Gary Whelan played drums, Paul Davis on keyboard, Mark Day on guitar, and then Mark Besberry later joined as like a dancer percussionist. And I don't know if you've ever seen any of their videos or anything, but Bez just kind of does that Stone Roses type, that just he kind of stands in place and moves around and shakes the tambourine. And he was a friend of the band, and they just brought him up on stage one night during a show. I believe it was probably at the Factory because that's where they. No, not the Factory. I forget the name of the club that they used to play with. It was owned by New Order. Or they were part owners, and they brought him up on stage, Bez, and he became like a hit. And they were like, "All right, you're in the band." Doesn't sing, doesn't play an instrument. He's just like a hype man, just like in a ska band. Almost every great ska band has that dude that just fucking dances. Just dances around with the tambourine, just shaking the tambourine.
Pump
it was
up
like,
the crowd.
Yeah, Ranking Roger, who was in a General Public, right? And General Public was an offshoot of the English Beat. Ranking Roger, he was the black guy. He always wore the hat, and he would do that. He would just like jump around the stage, do that ska type dance, very quick movements, rhythmic, very fast rhythm, because that's ska's like that. But anyway, so that's the Happy Mondays were a group that came along right after. So before the Manchester scene, you had the Smiths, New Order, and the Fall, who became prominent in the Manchester music scene. And I did it. You know what? I did an episode on this. Yeah, I don't know, 8 months ago, 9. It was the first episode I did by myself. It was the first podcast, and I was nervous as fuck. I'm like, I've never done like a solo show. Like I was used to bouncing it off Jack, and so I like had all my notes, and it was a good episode. I stumbled through it. I got it done. I built my confidence as I went.
At least you didn't do it on the phones.
For the people that want to know that inside joke, the Music Relish podcast,
No.
they used to do it by phone, which is actually, hey, you know what? You gotta fucking respect the dedication.
Yeah.
You gotta respect the dedication. That's all I gotta say about that. So, yeah, the Happy Mondays came along and they kind of bridged that gap in Manchester with that whole scene between the old and the new. And they created that kind of Manchester rave scene. Did you ever see the movie 24-Hour Party People?
No.
Watch it. It's all about, and Happy Mondays play a prominent part. Their story plays a prominent part in that movie. And it's basically how the Manchester scene came about and all the players that were involved. And the Hacienda was the name of the club. That's that
I've heard of that.
Yeah, they got their start in the Hacienda, and Bez used to deal ecstasy in the club under the stairs. And then he would go up on stage and do a show. Then he'd go and deal ecstasy again. Right? So they didn't care. The Manchester music scene was so big, it was so fucking big, that the University of Manchester, for like 3 years running, was the number one requested college by students wanting to go to college. They all wanted to go there. I mean, you didn't hear anyone wanting to go to the University of Washington because of the grunge movement.
It's true.
You know what I mean? So it was so fucking big that it's just, imagine that being like in the middle of that whole scene. It was so unique. It was so different. I envy those guys and girls that got to live that. But yeah, their first album was called Squirrel and G-Man, 24-Hour Party People, Plastic Face, Current Smile. C-A-R-N-T. That's Current Smile.
See you next Tuesday.
Yeah. Exactly. And then their biggest album, though, was Pills, Thrills, and Bellyaches. That had Step On and Kinky Afro, 2 good songs that you might want to listen to also.
I think I've heard Kinky Afro. That sounds very familiar.
Yeah. So, so Paul Ryder, rest in peace. You are an icon in that whole scene, the early 90s. You know, out of that came like the Stone Roses, a whole bunch of groups came out of that scene. They didn't really, like, I don't get it. Like, I was out in California, fortunately. I think probably cities like that, like California. I was in Northern California, but K-Rock covered the whole state, right? And K-Rock was like WBCN in Boston on the other side of the coast. They always advance. They always a step ahead of everybody else with music. Like WBCN in Boston was the first radio station to play U2. Like they had a good, what do you call it? Studio chief or whatever. Programming manager. Good
program director. Yeah.
Program director, yeah. So yeah, that's kind of that kind of sucks.
Too young.
And again, if you see the movie, when you watch the movie 24-Hour Party People, I noticed this. I was like, fuck, that's Paul Ryder. He plays a gangster in the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, my brother kept saying, watch it. You got to watch it. So I finally got around to watching it because he knows I like it. And he actually, for a guy that was hardcore Allman Brothers and all that, he kind of eventually came around. Now, he's going to listen to this, and he's going to be like, I always listen to that. Now, he used to dog me for listening to that shit. He used to dog me for listening to rap, and now he's a big fucking Public Enemy fan, Wu-Tang Clan fan. Like, he got it. Like, he waited. Yeah. You know how you do that? I think you said that last week. Like, you don't really jump on the wagon.
Something's hyped. Don't ever tell me, listen to this CD. It's the best effing CD in years. I'm going to hate it. I'm not going to like it. But maybe 3 years from now, I'm going to be like, that's a good CD, you know? But yeah.
So he came around, and all of a sudden he's telling me, he has the balls to tell me, I told you to listen. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Fucking asshole. He just knows. He throws that to get under my skin. I've always listened to it. No. You used to hate that shit. But you got to give it a chance, right?
And we said a chance. Public Enemy was, if you're a heavy metal fan, hard rock fan, Public Enemy was that to me. That's why I love Public Enemy. No bullshit.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Yeah. Whole different sound, different style. Mm-hmm. But that's what stood out in rap, like groups like that. And Eric B. and Rakim, totally different sound. Even moving up to Gangsta with Guru, how he had that kind of monotone style in his rapping. And you know, you get Tribe Called Quest when Q-Tip went out on his own and had some really good shit too. You know, but that's another. Do you like rap?
Yeah, I like. My problem with rap was, like any music in the beginning, it was great. And when I say the beginning, you know, in the 80s, we know it began in the 70s, but by the 90s, you had that where it went jazzy. You know, there was a lot of rap that was sampling old Blue Note records, and I loved that. Then after that, it got watered down. Like any music, it happened to heavy metal, you know, and then there's a lot of just, you know, the rap was about drink a beer, you know, and all that stuff. But the lyrics of the good stuff, I mean, the good rap, it's poetry.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There's some good early 90s rap that doesn't really, I don't know if it will ever get the credit it deserves, like the Far Side, Leaders of the New School. There's you know, even what do you call it? Fucking OPP. Why can't think of the name of the group? I know it. Like, here we go again. I do this.
Me too.
Every fucking show. I draw a blank. There's a lot of good rap in the early 90s that kind of got breezed over.
Yeah.
That I always have on a playlist. Well, it's
because it got so big. Yeah, it got so big. There were so many bands.
Yeah.
MTV was trying to push every band, so no one got really good coverage. But like heavy metal and like so many other forms of music, rap rapidly went down different avenues, which I appreciate. Some I didn't like and some I liked. There's
Lou, Naughty by Nature. That's right.
Yeah.
How can I they were one of the biggest like rap bands, hip hop bands of the early 90s. And they were good. Mm-hmm. They got commercial because they were so good, which I think might have been a detriment to them.
Yeah.
And they might have made their money, but they were from New Jersey. They were I think they were out of Newark, maybe.
Yep, I think so.
Yeah. Was it Tretch and Vinny? Something like that were their names. But so I don't know where I was going with all that. I kind of once again get myself sidetracked.
Oh, you're talking about You're talking about your brother.
Yeah,
With
my
the
brother.
English rock.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. With 24-hour party people. Thanks for keeping me on track. Jack would have just let me hang out in the wind. Oh, by the way, let me send it out. Hey, Lou, you'll be on next Wednesday, by the way. So clear your calendar. I'm only kidding. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not good at that. I was just telling Mark. Lou, you're welcome to come on next week if you want. Is that better?
And Tom's the only one that got away with a doctor's note. No one else can.
Yeah. No one else. And I got to track Tom down. So, and if you're still around, if you're not up, getting some fucking maple syrup somewhere.
In Vermont. Hey, it's my roots. Come on.
Hey, really? Are you from Vermont?
No. My grandparents, I have an uncle up there. So when I was growing up in Jersey, our only vacation every year, because my dad was a shoe salesman, we went to Vermont, So I grew up basically, and then I spent a couple winters up there. And
I was going to say,
a lot of time. Yeah,
that's nice around the holidays and shit. No,
oh yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
I don't know if I've ever been to Vermont, believe it or not. Yeah.
You know what's great about Vermont? No billboards allowed. So the minute you go from the New York side and you cross it, you don't see the billboards for, apple cider, this and that. It's really, you don't notice it till you don't see the billboards. It's great.
Boca does that. There's a Costco here in Boca that you would never know if you were driving down the street. They don't have that big Costco sign. You have to know where it is. And when you turn, you turn right off of the street and then you see the Costco sign. They made them put it way back. There's a gated community right across the street, and I'm sure they were losing their fucking minds when they built that thing. But they benefit from it. I actually got assaulted in that one time. When I first met my girlfriend, my now wife, she was my girlfriend. We went over there, and this fucking old lady, literally jammed me with her cart. I mean, I lived in Hollywood, Florida, which is as middle class as it gets. And I never got accosted at a Costco. I got Costco'd. She fucking hit me with the cart. Get out of the way. What the fuck, old lady?
Did you
I will fuck you up?
I don't know if you have ShopRites up in Massachusetts when you were growing up, but ShopRites are a big supermarket chain, and I got it. Same thing. Back of the ankle, that tendon that runs up right into that. She said I got ahead of her online. I didn't get ahead of her. Just kept patient. Just keep quiet.
Fuck old people. I mean, I mean, you know what I mean. I mean, no, fuck old people. What am I saying? The asshole old people.
Yeah,
fuck
that's
them.
it. There's plenty of cool old
nice
people.
Old person. You're supposed to be nice at that age.
Don't act like Keith Richards. Act like a nice old man.
Fucking
All right.
Ornery. You're ornery. Sorry I'm younger than you. It's not my fucking fault. All right? It's just the luck of the draw. Someday I'll be on that side.
Yeah.
On that side.
I was going to say that.
You know what? That's a funny lead-in because I want to talk about artists or bands or groups remaking their music. Are you a fan of that?
No, not at all. If it's rearranged, if they do like Black Crowes did a double CD of all their songs, but more acoustically, I'm fine with that. When Journey got their singer, Arnold, the guy from the Philippines, and they put out their greatest hits re-recorded. A great singer, and it's why. I know why they do it. It's publishing. They want to get their publishing money. And I can understand.
Did they re-record albums with him?
So when he joined them, they put out, the record company wanted them to re-record the greatest hits.
Really?
And they really wanted to do new music. Neil Schon, give him credit. He keeps writing,
I always dog him, but hey, listen, the guy's fucking genius.
And he doesn't age. He doesn't age.
Well, but he has hair plugs.
Yeah.
And he was down in South Florida, down in West Palm, or up in West Palm to me, in a fucking summer concert that I took my wife to about 4 or 5 years ago. And he was wearing the fucking leather jacket and the leather pants. I'm like, dude, you must not have fucking played here before in the summer. But he kept it on the whole show. I think he used it as a sweat, like one of them fucking sauna suits.
He lost 10 pounds.
Yeah, I'm sure.
No, but when they, they argued, we want to do new music. So they made a deal with the record company, and I bought it when it came out. It's a double CD. I think it was like a Walmart exclusive or some store. So I played the first disc. Sounds great. I love it. Played the second disc. You can re-record Stone in Love. You can get every note perfect. And it's kind of wasn't fair to Arnell because he's not Steve Perry. He sounds like Steve Perry, but it doesn't sound the same. So, people are going to pick on him. They're going to say, this sounds like shit and all that. It wasn't his fault. So that's stuff I don't like.
Yeah. So usually when a band, I got a new microphone. I was telling Mark, I get like the Shure SM7B, like the Joe Rogan podcast mic. All podcasters like aspire to get this mic, and thank you to my wife, the good doctor, for hooking me up. But anyways, it's heavy for the arm.
She's got to get you a boom stand.
I got the boom. It's just I don't know how much more I can tighten this fucking thing.
Don't break it, whatever you do.
It's a very slow drop. Like after a conversation, it goes from like in front of my mouth to below my chin.
Oh, great. Now I'm looking at the microphone the whole time.
Yeah. I got to hold it up. It's fuck. So anyways, they usually do it for two reasons. Artistic reasons and legal reasons, right?
Yeah.
It's usually why they would do it. There's one exception, and I'll bring that up later, that I found. It's pretty fucking cool, or is a very good end around. So one artist that re-recorded a song for artistic reasons was Joni Mitchell, right? So she recorded Both Sides Now when she was 21, and it became her biggest hit. It's a fucking great song.
Yeah.
And I self-corrected because I took Joni Mitchell for granted in a couple of conversations I had with Jack in earlier episodes of this podcast. And I kind of overlooked. I was like, yeah, but then he's like, you got to listen to her. Jack always telling me what to do. And you know what? I went back and I was like, you know what? I was wrong. She definitely is fucking great. I always knew she was good. But it's one of those things, saturation, right?
Yeah.
Over the years. Now,
you weren't ready for it, and if you're not ready for it, you're not going to like it.
Yeah, I liked it, but it's okay. It's just what like you and I spoke about last week with, oh shit, I forgot about that song. Oh shit, I forgot about that song. With bands that you go to this show and you're like, oh fuck. So she recorded Both Sides Now when she was 21. And the song is about when you're older and you look back, you look back and you say, pretty much now I see it from both sides, from the youth of my life and becoming an older person in life. So she actually took her own advice on that song. She caught a lot of heat for writing that song and singing it. And it was just an acoustic guitar, the original, an acoustic guitar with her vocals over it. Fucking beautiful. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. But they gave her a lot of heat. They're like, what do you know? You're fucking 21. How can you speak on both sides? You haven't been there yet. Right? Hey, fucking critics.
She was an artist. She's a great, yeah.
She's one of the greatest. So she's so it's like 35 years later, when she's 56. She redoes it because she looked back and said, I could have done this. I could have done that song. I could have done so much more with that song. And so in 2000, she recorded Both Sides Now with an orchestra behind her. No acoustic guitar. It's a great version. If you've never listened to it, no, it's fucking fantastic version of that song. YouTube it. So she records it in her voice, of course. 35 years later, she doesn't have that angelic voice that she once had, and she does it in her style now, like you see Elton John does it, and a deeper sound. But they adjust their songs to it, right?
Yep. Cigarettes.
Cigarettes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And actually, that arrangement for that song won a Grammy that year. It's that good. It's that good.
Okay.
So she went back and did it for artistic reasons, just to make a great song greater. And it's a totally different version.
Yeah.
Because of the sounds and the way it's sang, but it's the same song. But she went back and said, I could do better. I could do better.
Totally. When you were talking about artist re-recording, I was just thinking of, you go buy a greatest hits from an artist and you realize it's not the same. They re-recorded them. That's totally for a business reason.
Yeah.
What she did, I totally agree with. And I have no problem in artists revisiting a song, because you're right. I mean, a real artist, their first couple albums could have some amazing songs. 20 years later, they're just like, shit, I could do so much more. I do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have you have another example of what?
You know what I didn't know for years? It's kind of funny was Pink Floyd had this compilation album, sorry.
Yeah.
From 82, I think it was called A Collection of Great Dance Songs.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I have that on my list, yeah.
And Dave Gilmour, because they couldn't get the rights to it. And I hear he played everything on it. He played the drums.
And go on.
He did. I hear he did. I'm not familiar with that. As much as I love Pink Floyd, I haven't heard that. I don't think I have. But they said he did a great job with it.
He did. The album has alternative versions of Shine On You Crazy Diamond, Another Brick in the Wall Part 2, and Money. And Money was totally re-recorded because Capitol Records refused to give them the license to use it on that compilation, right?
Yeah.
They wouldn't, and I guess it was Columbia/CBS Records is who Gilmour was recording with. So he re-recorded the track by himself, Money. Think of that fucking track, right? How much is going on there?
Yeah.
He did the guitars, keyboards, bass guitar, and vocals, and co-produced it. Got the guy, saxophone player.
The original?
Yeah. Dick Carey or something like that.
Yeah.
To come in and redo his part. And he said, fuck you. I'm going to do this. I'd never heard of that album. Have you?
Which one?
That one. The greatest dance songs, Pink Floyd's.
It was, I remember seeing it. Let's see. I was probably 12 or 13 years old. I was really going to record stores. I saw it. I never bought it. And then years later, I'm like, I got all the songs, so why buy it? Now you can't find it, I don't think. And, it might be a good collector's item to have. Yeah.
I mean, you see Pink Floyd and you see dance music. Like the title would just throw you off, right?
I know. It was a great cover. You know, did you say David played drums on it?
Yeah.
So that shows how good a musician he is, because the song is deceptively simple. It's one of these weird songs where the verses are in one time signature, but then when they go to the solo, the big David Gilmour solo, it goes to 4/4 standard rock time. So it's a very tricky song. I could never do that as a drummer. I mean, I'm not a drummer, but I mean, David Gilmour's proficient at what he does.
Yeah. And that's Nick Mason's creation too.
Yeah.
The drumming is, I just pulled this up, is that the drumming is noticeably different from Nick Mason's, especially during the guitar solo, with very little of the tom-tom that you heard in there. The tom-tom fills heard on the original. It says all songs featured in this collection are also represented, albeit not in the same mixed form, on the later collection, Echoes, the best of Pink Floyd. See, that's a fucking normal name.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Lou. It's in 5/4 on the verses.
Thank you. The drummer knows.
The drummer knows. Never fucking doubt the drummer. The drummer gets overlooked every time. Every time. Not Lou. Lou will not be overlooked. So let me see. John Lennon actually at one point was talking to what's his name? Who's the producer?
So Phil Spector.
No, the guy that produced all their albums.
You're rubbing off on me. Oh,
yeah.
This is bad.
George Martin.
Thank you, his son. I was thinking.
Yeah, George Martin. You and I are a fucking disaster when it comes to
It's
names.
like last week, everything's going wrong.
No, it's somebody has to be in the middle to pick up this slack for us. It's fucking names. I don't know why. I swear it's because I had COVID fucking a year and a half ago, and I still have brain fog.
At least you got an
called
excuse.
it one day fog brain. Fog brain. That tells me I have fucking brain fog.
You have a worthwhile excuse. I'm just dumb.
So he told him he wanted to record the entire Beatles collection. Just wanted to re-record it. Because and George Martin said Lennon had this fantasy. His fantasies and his delusions were bigger than what reality is. And he said to him, even Strawberry Fields? And he's like, especially Strawberry Fields. Never did it. There are two versions of Strawberry Fields, if you've ever noticed. There's a slower kind of, there's a slower, you can see it's probably a beat slower, a tempo slower than the original. And it's got like a deeper sound to it. Check it out. Seek it out and you'll see. But he wanted to re-record everything. I don't know if Revolution, there's 3 versions of Revolution. I don't know if I count the third one though. So you have Revolution 1, which is the B-side to Hey Jude. That's a fucking great 45 right there, right? No, that's the na 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 na. Oh, okay. That's the fast, the one that you hear. Yeah. Then there's the second version where it's a jam, like it's like a 10-minute song. It's on the White Album, and the last 5 minutes is just them jamming. Mm-hmm. Don't you know it's gonna be? Like it's just one of those things. And then there's Revolution number 9, which is the original second half of Revolution number 1 on the 45.
Okay.
And it's a whole, goes into a whole, I don't even call it a Revolution song or it's a part of what was Revolution 1, but they say there's 3 versions. So I'll say 2.5. I wouldn't count Revolution number 9 as a version of that song.
I've heard people that dare to criticize a Beatles album, and there's a lot out there. They say, what else could they have put in there if they didn't have that? It took up space,
Yeah, they could fill a song. They could fill it up. Lennon just always wanted to redo songs. And you know what? If he hadn't got murdered, who knows what he would have re-recorded.
True.
Because he was on his, kind of like Joe Strummer, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
What would have been, because he was on his second life.
Well, look, George Martin got involved with that. What was that called? He was remixing Beatles songs. It was Love. Remember that?
Love, yeah.
Now, I can't help but think if John Lennon was alive and something like that came up, would he be a part of it? He might have.
That's isn't Love a Cirque du Soleil?
Yeah.
Thing?
Yeah.
I just took a fucking piece of wood that I hang. It's just square. It's like a rectangle. It says, I don't need Google because my wife knows everything. Right? And I just fucking propped up the microphone. This fucking thing. Motherfucker. I'm gonna tighten this so much the fucking screw's gonna break, and I'm gonna end up buying another fucking $umpty dollar fucking arm.
Don't do that. It's gonna hit you in the glasses, break your glasses. It'll be a disaster. Know what you need? 1980. I can't remember when I saw Ozzy Osbourne. It was 84, 85. He had these little midgets in robes. You couldn't see their faces come out and bring them like stuff. You need one of them to come there with the robe on.
That was kind of like Live Rust.
Yeah.
Neil Young, right? Didn't he have that too?
He was kind of channeling Star Wars, I think, with that.
Yeah, they had the light. Their eyes were lighted up like the fucking whatever they were called. And then you have those little dudes in the movie Phantasm, the little fucking
Oh,
Did
man.
you ever see Phantasm?
Yeah. Oh,
I mean, it's like some sort of hell. They're all in these little compressed people. Like, yeah, we just went way off subject.
yeah, we did.
We just went
That was an
way
eerie
off
movie when I was young.
boy, you're gonna die, boy. Yeah. That fucking guy, big Scottish dude.
Yeah.
He's a classic horror movie villain.
Mhm.
He doesn't get the respect he
Right.
deserves in the horror movie great villains category.
There you go.
Doesn't
You're
get
right.
the respect. That is a fucking cult classic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For me, it's that and Hellraiser. Those two movies.
Dude, maybe you and I should do a movie podcast.
Yeah, but we'll be like, what's that actor? The big guy that did a Western and he did a science fiction. He had a big belly. What's his name?
That's exactly.
We got to keep IMDb up on our computer.
That's exactly what would happen. We'd be talking, that guy, the guy that played in that other movie with the lady.
The guy that played James Bond, Sean Connery. No, the other guy. The guy.
The guy that played the movie with the blonde lady. Yeah, they're in the car. They're driving the car. That guy. See, that might actually be pretty funny. We got to talk about this.
That just sounds like you're at a bar. It's what I hear every time I go out. You remember that movie? You remember that
movie.
Guy? It's 1940 or maybe 70 or I don't know. The guy with the cap and yeah. Just goes on and on and on.
We might be onto something here, buddy. We might be onto something. What else? You got anything else in that?
I got a horrible example, which it could have worked out. Do you remember when Chicago re-recorded 25 or 6 to 4?
I can't say I remember that.
At the time I was working, we were making advanced cassettes for different record companies, and I loved it because I'd hear the new stuff coming out. It was really good, So I see now Chicago in the late 80s, early 90s, they were a commercial band. I didn't like them. I liked them in the 70s. So I see Chicago re-recording of 25 or 6 to 4. Like, oh, is someone going to do the guitar solo? How's this going to sound? It's got a drum machine through the whole thing, and they changed the whole rhythm. Where the original was dun dun, the re-recording is boom boom boom.
That's sacrilegious.
Horrible, just hard. Oh, and it went down in flames. It went
down.
Who
sang it? Peter Cetera?
No, I believe he was out of the band by then. He had already quit and was doing a solo. Yeah. Great bassist, but he took the money. But that was career suicide. I mean, they couldn't dig the grave any deeper with that.
Oh my Lord. Jimi Hendrix, I don't know if you saw I think it was a 3-part, maybe more, documentary, because we're going to talk about some documentaries on Chicago. Did you ever see it?
Oh, yeah. That's great.
And what is his name? One of the horn players, one of the original members. He's like one of the driving forces in the band.
Yeah, the guy.
The tall guy. Fucking tall guy. I think he's got a beard. Maybe he doesn't. That guy.
Plays a horn.
Yeah. He's one of the horn guys.
Yeah.
He said that they were playing somewhere, and Jimi Hendrix came up to him after the show and said, your guitar player is better than me.
Yeah.
Terry Kath.
Mm-hmm. Right? We were talking about Chicago on the Music Relish the other week, and if you listen to the first album, there's a track called Freeform Guitar, and it's basically feedback and whammy bar stuff. But if you listen to what Terry Kath was doing in '69 with feedback, it did sound ahead of sound-wise of what Jimi Hendrix was getting. He was onto something. He was a fantastic player.
Dude, it's fucking unbelievable in his voice. Yeah. He had a better voice than Jimi Hendrix, too.
Yeah.
He had more range.
Mm-hmm.
Jimi Hendrix is just Jimi Hendrix. He's got that cool style. But he never deviated from that.
Yeah, that's all.
Very rarely did he raise his voice in a song.
Right.
Maybe in All Along the Watchtower, he gets a little loud. But for the most part.
There's a few songs where he tried to hit high notes and you hear his voice crack. He had a very monotone voice. I loved it, but that was it.
Yeah. That was his sound,
Yeah.
So you have the artistic reasons, right? And Radiohead had the song Nude was supposed to be on OK Computer, and they didn't like it, and then they jumped They tried to put it on Kid A. There was a song they tried to put on Kid A and didn't really make it. And then they put it out on In Rainbows finally. So there's that type of re-recording where they're just not happy with it. Like they like it and then they're like, nah, we can do better. We can do better. And they are perfectionists.
Absolutely. And I totally agree with that. I totally agree. If you think you can redo it, that I'm supportive of.
Don't just put it out.
Yeah.
You know? And I think you might have heard me say this, that if you ask me, Radiohead as a collective is the greatest group of musicians in the world.
Yeah.
Those guys are fucking masters.
They're scary good. There's a music show that used to be on some cable channel. All these concerts were done in the basement. I think it's something like Concerts in the Basement. And Motorhead, Radiohead were there. And that was my introduction to what each guy does. It's just amazing. I thought the guy with the dark hair that's always just going like that, he plays like 5 different instruments.
Yeah.
There's so many rhythms going on.
Saw them
amazing.
Saw them in concert in Miami. They were kicking off a tour, and he had this fucking it was like a contraption that he brought out on stage, and he was playing it. I don't know if it wasn't like a keyboard and I couldn't even figure out what it was. This dude was playing that. I forget his name too. But I think I've seen a video from that little show. They do a fucking great cover of what Tom York says is one of their inspirations, one of their, and it's the Smiths' Headmaster Ritual.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you've ever heard the Smiths version, the original version, Headmaster Ritual. It's great. Go listen to it, and then go and YouTube Radiohead Headmaster Ritual. Headmaster's Ritual. They are just lightning, man. They're so fucking good. So good. So you get then you get the legal reasons, right?
Yeah.
Which usually are copyright or ownership issues. Master track ownership is always contentious between the studios and the artist. A great example in current day is Taylor Swift. This guy, Scooter Braun, he recorded all her albums in his studio when her first 6 albums, and then she wanted to do something with it, and he's like, I own them. I own the masters. You can't do anything with it. I get paid for whatever you do. So she's broke off and already re-recorded her first 2 albums, maybe on her 3rd now.
I say good for her.
Yeah, and they're exact, but it's her recording them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she does, I believe, own the rights to the she wrote it, so she has the publishing rights, right?
Yeah,
I would believe.
Hopefully,
well, she has some sort of rights to it since she wrote it. So she's in the process of doing that. Now, an interesting one, very interesting one, is the Righteous Brothers, Unchained Melody, the song, right? What is that song famous for in today's society? Like in
Patrick Swayze making a pot with clay.
Yeah, from Ghost, right? So that song, absolutely, like that is the scene in that movie, right?
Yeah.
It's a cinematic, like, you know, legendary cinematic scene. And that song just fucking does it. Like that is just seals it, right?
Yeah.
Whoever the director was fucking like created a small masterpiece right there, making it so iconic. It's an iconic scene in a movie.
Yeah.
So what happens is the song blows up, right? So we're going back to, what was it? 1990 that movie came out. And so the song blows up and people start going to the store to buy it. And, well, record stores don't keep fucking records from 1966 in 1990. Like, you have to go to a used record store. In 1990, there were probably so few used record stores, those fucking hardcore dudes or ladies that are like, I'm sticking with it. There will be a fucking revival. I'm telling you, there will be a fucking revival of vinyl, and I'm going to be the fucking king or queen of that shit. You motherfuckers. Keep going with your fucking MP3s and CDs. And well, there wasn't even MP3s back then.
Yeah.
Right?
CDs.
So the only way you can get it is through a 45, because that song was tied up in so many legal battles or had some sort of funky legal ease that you could only buy it as a 45. Nobody's fucking buying a 45 in 1990. People were throwing that shit out.
Yeah.
Which I'd still throw out 45s. But Dave Phillips, big fan of the show, also watches my other live streams. He is the king of the 45s. I call him the king of the 45s. He probably has it. Anyways. So what do? They say, okay, Righteous Brothers, it's, I don't know, 66, you guys recorded this. Now we want you to re-record it in 1990. So that's 76, 86. It's 24 years later, right? They want them to re-record the song.
I just wonder why they couldn't find the original tapes and re-release it. I guess they were lost.
They probably had them, but for some reason it could only be released.
Oh, somebody owned it. Yeah.
Yeah. So they get the Righteous Brothers in the studio, and Bill Medley, right?
Yeah.
Is that his name?
Bill Medley.
Bill Medley and Hatfield. What's his first name? The singer. He's got the high.
I don't know.
He's the one that sings that song, right? Bobby Hatfield. Hatfield. So they get him in the studio and they record this track. Yeah, there you go, Louis.
Yeah. Bobby.
And they record the track, but the problem is they don't have an orchestra behind them. They have a synthesizer, like recreating the sound. And also, Bobby Hatfield just can't hit those notes 25 years later like he could in 1966.
Yeah.
But they got to get that shit out on cassette and CD. And I do believe that back in the 90s, early 90s, CDs could come in singles, like a 45. You could buy one song, on a CD.
I got a lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah. That are fucking worthless today. But anyways, throw those. Keep the vinyl 45s. Throw that shit out.
They're good if you get mad at somebody in your family. Just
fucking Chinese, make a fucking Chinese star. And I don't care if you think that's racist. Fuck you, not you, Mark. Fuck the listener. You can't say Chinese star. That's racist. That's now you're being a xenophobe. Fuck you and your xenophobe bullshit.
Anybody can become a markophobe, but it's okay. I'll take it.
Markophobe. You do seem to have a small fan club brewing from your appearances on the Milk Crates and Turntables podcast. So they go in the studio and they re-record it. Oh, Dave, you blew it. You're too honest. Dave Phillips, king of the 45, just commented in, I didn't have the 45. Buddy, when I'm hyping you up, buddy, go with it. Go with it, Dave. Doesn't pay to be a fucking good guy. I want to make you famous and you fucked it up. See, now you just took 2 steps backwards. You might even just be the prince of 45s now, buddy. You should have just let me go, buddy. But he's a nice guy. He's honest. Honesty doesn't pay off all the time. Anyways. So they re-record this thing and they put it out on CD and cassette. And I can't help but think that these fucking people went out to buy that song because on the radio, they're playing the 45 version.
Yeah.
Playing the original version. It had a big resurgence. But you go to the fucking record store because you had to go to physical record store, a brick and mortar place, and buy it. And you get in your car and you're like, yeah, fucking Righteous Brothers. I love yeah, it's a fucking great song. Me and my girl are going to listen to this shit. And then you hear that version. You're like
the early 90s keyboards had the worst string sounds.
And like,
you know,
what the fuck is this? Like, what the fuck? And I don't think it was easy to return a CD back in the day. I think once it was opened, you couldn't return it because of the bootlegs, right?
Record store owner told me that. All right, so he sold one of the reissues of Pink Dark Side of the Moon, and there were some with quality control issues. It could happen. People returned them. He gave their money back, but then when he tried to go to the the where he got the CDs from, they go, we won't take them back because we don't make any mistakes. That's why they would not. CDs were being seen as perfect. You could return a record. You could return a cassette because they got screwed up all the time. I worked in that field. CDs were supposed to be perfect. They weren't. You could misprint. You could have the wrong program, like music on it. So yeah, they won't take returns.
Remember for a small moment in time, they were said that they can't scratch, like they will never skip. Remember that? So
I remember some show where a guy drove a car over a CD, and it still plays.
I was stationed in Sacramento, and I was living in the dorms, and this dude, he's shit-faced on a Friday, Saturday night. And like, I was probably shit-faced too. And we're like, let's listen to some tunes, Mac. Because they all call me Mac, right? Like, yeah. What do you got? He goes, I got these CDs, man. He goes, look at this thing. I am not making this up. He goes, these fucking things are indestructible, man. And he takes it and he fucking rubs it on the wall and starts going up and down like a sponge, right? He goes, check it out, right? He goes to put it in his fucking thing, and it is fucking jacked up. That fucking thing is like, and he takes it out. And he didn't even look at it. It's got fucking paint and scratches. Like, this thing just went through a fucking cement mixer, right? And it spit it out the other side. This dude almost started crying. He's like, that cost me fucking like, I don't know, $20. And in the military, expensive. Back then, $20 was, you needed that $20.
Sure.
Oh, I just could not stop laughing. I think I laughed for fucking 20 minutes, and I kept telling him, put it back in. And he was literally moping, like drunk moping. Which is the worst.
The worst.
The fucking nothing worse than a drunk moper.
Because they're just around the corner from violence.
They're right around the corner from suicide. It's fucking one or the other with them.
Yeah.
Like, it's like literally it's the end of the road. Drunk mopers were the worst. Mm-hmm. Good Lord. And he held that CD like it was a dog that just died. His dog just died. Oh, fucking CDs, great.
They were an investment early on. When you bought a CD, you planned what CD to buy. And
Yep.
Then they became like $5 in Caldor.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Remember the cases they came in? They came in the the long cases. You know why they did that?
Anti-theft, right?
No, they did it because they wanted the buyer to have the album experience, flipping through albums. You scan them with your finger, you pull. And they wanted to have CDs give the buyer that same effect.
Okay.
Like, so they weren't like down low, like look, it was high up and they could just look right down at them. Yeah.
And there were two kinds. There were ones where they just put the CD in a hole in the top of the box, but then you had ones where the album artwork was recreated on the box. Those were cool. And I think I have some of them in storage. I think I have a Rush one. And because I couldn't throw anything away. I'm like, oh, wow.
This might be worth something someday.
Yeah, someday.
Yeah. Like, I have a bunch of albums that I have a collection of, I have almost 1,000 albums. And they're displayed very nicely. And it's a collection of collections, as people probably listening know by now. People send me their collections and they get played for the most part. They get displayed. They're not sitting in a basement or in an attic or in a closet. People come over and they love fingering, looking, flicking through them. And I have like a Blondie album and a Tears for Fears album and a Herb Alpert album and that are unopened.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm like, this is worth probably $12. But I don't care. It's still, I'll know. Someone was here the other day and they're like, why don't you play? I said, because I have 2 other versions that are already open. you know, because people send me their collections, and I don't throw anything out. Yeah.
I went through the same thing when vinyl was supposedly dead, and I always knew it was going to come back because that's all controlled by the record companies. They push formats, you know. I just said it's on hiatus, get a new generation in, and everybody was giving me their albums, and I couldn't say no. So I have like 6 brain salad surgeries. I got 6 alive. I got 10 Alive 2s or Alives. You know, only 2 Alive 2s because not many people bought that one. But yeah.
I think the most of one album I have is Sticky Fingers. Everybody fucking owned that album. Everybody owned that. Every collection I got.
Frampton Comes Alive too.
Yeah, exactly. But every collection I got, say 2, had Sticky Fingers in it. Okay. And they're all in different forms. So I could actually take like a good vinyl, a nice clean vinyl, and put it with the best album cover.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because they're all banged up and fucking torn, and the zip doesn't work, or zip is not even there. You know, I don't know.
Look, I don't know. I'll tell you. So I have about 2,000 records, and when I left my first job, I was given a beautiful handmade wooden cabinet to hold them in. And our last place that we lived, we had a fire about 2 years ago. There's a fire on the roof, and fire department, water coming down through the whole apartment. They wouldn't let me in. All I was thinking, my family was out. So, you know, all I was thinking was my guitars, my albums. Fuck everything else, right?
Yeah.
Well, when they finally let us go back up, the albums were spared. It was almost like a biblical thing. Just that part of the room, and my guitars were fine. My son-in-law and my son, both, they ran out with everything. We got the albums, we're running out because, you know, saved every single record. It was amazing.
Yeah. I wish I had that experience. I had total opposite. My brother, we were getting ready to have my mom, we were getting her a brand new house built on the same property, and my middle brother decided to just take all our albums, probably close to 800. I had my own collection. My brother had his own collection, but we all listened to everything. Mm-hmm. Put them out in one of those tin sheds that you get at Home Depot.
Oh,
yeah. And well, I mean, back then you probably wasn't thinking anything about vinyl. It was dead, and the fucking roof caved in from a snowstorm.
I thought you were going to say the heat.
I came home to that. The only thing I salvaged out of that was a Michael Jackson Thriller picture disc, a Billy Idol picture disc, and I believe the Tubular Bells picture disc. Those are like the only things I really wanted.
Yeah.
The rest was just fucked. I had a great collection of music,
and all of those sheds collapsed. My father had one; it collapsed. They all collapsed.
Yeah. So, you're mentioning the case that you carried the records held, right? Were held in that wooden case. So, I started looking for like vintage shit. I go through these phases. I collect when I'm very specific. When I collect, or I'll just be fucking a hoarder, right? So I have to be very specific. Like right now, I'm collecting like vintage movie cameras, like Bolex, Pollards, made in Sweden, you know, like shit like that.
Wow.
So I see on Craigslist that this is probably let's see, 4 years ago. I see this. It's a record cabinet, right? And it's got a flat top, and it's got like raised on 3 sides, like a raised thing, like a wall, like a little decorative thing, right? And you there's 2 slots, and you pull it, and it comes down like an oven, right?
Yeah.
And in there is different, like there's probably 5 dividers, and you could put probably 30 albums between each divider, right? So if you were doing that. So I looked these things up. I saw one on Craigslist, and the guy wanted like fucking $30 for it, right? Yeah. And I forget the brand, but I looked it up, and the things are hard to get, and it's made of really good fucking like oak, I think, or something. And
oh wow.
Yeah. And it's worth, you know, probably secondhand market for someone that knows what it is. You could probably get a couple $100, $300 for it, right? So I look where it is, though. And it's on a Sunday, and I contact the guy, and the guy says, yeah, come over. Come and get it. All right. But I kind of get a sense of where it is. But as I'm driving there, it's kind of, now I'm going into the hood, right? It's just how I'm going to fucking call it. Again, if you're offended, fucking turn me off. I don't care. But I'm going into the fucking hood. Now, I got this fucking nice Jeep, right? Limited edition fucking Jeep Wrangler. It's the Dragon edition. It's got a dragon on the side, goes up over the hood. Look them up. They're fucking beautiful, right? And I got I'm wearing like a Larry Bird jersey. Got the shorts. I think I threw on my Timberlands. Some kind of thugging out, you know? And I get out of the car. I'm in front of the house. Now, across the street, like to the right of the house, he's on a corner lot. Then you cross the little street. It's back in the neighborhood. There's like 6 or 7 brothers just hanging out on a Saturday afternoon. They're drinking. They got music playing. I'm like, all right. Just got to know your surroundings. And I get out, fucking Larry Bird jersey. I'm bald. The fucking goatee, right? Kind of baggy shorts. So what do I look like, right? I know what I look like, right? And I don't care what anybody says. The fucking quintessential white man's athletic jersey is a Larry Bird jersey. Yes. Fucking it. A close second is a Tom Brady jersey. And I'm not saying that just because I'm from Boston, but the quintessential white man jersey is a Larry Bird jersey. Proven by if you watch the movie Do the Right Thing, when John Savage runs over fucking Martin Lawrence's sneakers, and he's living in the hood, he's living in the brownstone on this bike, and he's got the fucking bird, and they're like, he got the fucking bird jersey on, right? I got the bird jersey on. This guy comes out. He's like a middle-aged black guy. He's got this fucking dog behind the fence, just going ballistic. Like he sees a white guy, like he hasn't seen one before, right? He's fucking biting chain link, this fucker, right? I'm like, oh, fuck this, right? The guy comes in, he gets the dog. Get the fucking dog. He gets the dog out. And I said, yeah, I'm here about the record holder. Oh, yeah? Yeah, all right. Come on in. Oh, shit. Now I'm thinking training day. Right? But
were you going to see the little girl that you rescued? I mean, you hope.
Listen, yeah. Now, I'm not, I'm a tough guy. I'm street smart. I can fucking handle myself. Always could. So you read the situation. I'm like, is this fucking record holder worth this? Because you're getting the vibes. Like, you're getting the spidey senses. It's just like, it's kind of maybe I'm here at the wrong time, right?
Spidey man. Yeah.
The guy's very nice. He says, come on in. So fuck it. It is worth it. I'm going in, right? So I go in and the guy goes, yeah, here it is. It was my mother's. He's like, where are you from? I said, I'm from Boston originally. Oh, I'm from Boston. I live in Boston. I live in Roxbury. I go, yeah, me and my brothers used to live at the, in the Mission Hill projects in Roxbury. He's like, oh, shit, yeah. And so, we're talking. And I go to, all right, how much? He goes, $30 or something. So I give him I go to give him the 30. He says, yeah. He goes, $30 plus I want that jersey. And he just looks at me like with this fucking look, like giving me the fucking stare. I want that jersey too. I'm like, fuck no, you ain't getting this fucking jersey. You can go fuck yourself. And the dude's like, he just looks at me. So I'm ready to square up with this dude in his house, right? Yeah. And he goes, I'm only kidding. Motherfucker. But he tested me. He fucking tested me. I know I got tested. He wanted to see when I say, oh, come on, man. Yeah, what are you doing? No. Fuck you. You ain't getting this jersey. So I got this shit. I picked that motherfucker up. I get out. Now I have to bring it to my Jeep and load it up. And I'm still looking across the street because I don't know if Holmes is going to be like, yo, this guy's robbing me. All these scenarios are running through my head, right? I get that motherfucker. I load it in the back. I close the door. I'm like, Audi 5000 G. Right? He starts laughing. I get the fuck out of Dodge, man. All that shit for a fucking record holder.
You still got it?
I still got it.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
I still got it. Yeah. So it's got
Send
a
me
story to it.
Take a picture of it. Send it to me. I want to see what it looks like.
Yeah, I will. I will. It's pretty kind of plain looking, but it's where I keep all my Sinatra and Tony Bennett and and Herb Alpert albums. It's its own little sanctuary in there for those albums. They get their special space. But so you got any more like cases of people redoing the songs, remaking the songs?
I'm thinking of my old time in making cassettes. Because, by the way, cassettes are the worst format possible. Maybe a little better than 8-track, but I made cassettes. I hate cassettes. And they're making a resurgence. I don't get it. No, don't buy cassettes. Anyway.
I threw out a plastic bag, like a garbage bag full. No one's buying cassettes.
The only cassettes that are worth anything was, remember, we used to buy bootlegs on cassettes.
Yeah.
Save those and you transfer them to CD,
This had a lot of Stacy Q. Like, people gave me these things. I'm like,
So we were lucky enough to get Chubby Checker himself as a customer. And I like hearing this story. He got the rights to his catalogs. I was happy for him because a lot of these guys from the 60s got screwed.
Yeah.
But he couldn't release the original recordings, so he re-recorded all his stuff. So I had to prepare it for production. It's a different kind of mastering, just preparing it for vinyl and cassette. And it didn't bother me. Like, he redid the twist, but it sounded enough like the old twist. I was okay with it. That's not such an iconic recording that you couldn't redo it.
It's a dance song.
What I learned about him was every freaking song he put out was a variation of the twist. Yeah. Like, the guy, he hit on something. Yep. God bless him. He twisted to the end of his life. He twisted
the night away, buddy.
Yeah.
And so I wonder how he did financially, though, with those contracts back then.
Yeah, he, with us personally, because when you work in any kind of production, anyone that worked at disc makers will tell you, you want to deposit right up front because every artist is poor, basically.
Yeah.
He came in and he paid up front for it, and he paid his bill on time. So he may not have been super rich, but he was making out, and I'm glad. I'm happy for him.
I wonder if he got royalties from the twist.
He may have re-recorded it maybe he wasn't, and so he told me that he sold these at his concerts. He wasn't going to go get the stuff in San Goody. Yeah. When you sell them at the like these oldie shows, people would gobble it up. Not nowadays. Everyone listens online.
Especially if he's at the table and he'll sign them and shit afterwards. And those merch tables can bring in a good penny. Yeah.
Yep.
I think artists caught on to that.
They did. Yeah. And then it used to be easy to get an autograph, and it used to be easy to meet an artist. Now you got to pay for the meet and greet, and I'm not doing that.
Yeah. No doubt. Brian Wilson redid. He re-recorded "Smile," right? The album "Smile," and there were songs on "Smile" that were already released by the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
And some of them, they were copyright. Mike Love owned the copyright, that piece of shit scumbag.
Don't like him.
Fucking nobody likes him. I don't think anybody likes him, and I don't think he fucking cares, really.
He doesn't. He's making a lot of money. Dude,
he's made a lot of money. He doesn't. Yeah, and he's what, 78 now or something.
Did you hear when they, like, about 6 years ago, the original band was back together? I heard, I don't know how true this is, but they were touring and they were all agreeing to go a little longer. And he said, nah, I'm stopping it because I think he makes more money when it's his version of the Beach Boys. So,
yeah. And his fucking Hall of Fame speech was fucking ridiculous, saying we're better than the Rolling Stones. And, the Stones are in the audience. But I don't think Mick Jagger probably laughed it off. He did laugh it off, actually. Because nobody's really bigger than the Stones. Just not. Unless Cardi B today is big as the Stones. So is Izzo. Izzo is as big as the Stones too. Just ask a fucking 16-year-old.
Well, they don't even
One
know who
of
the
his
Rolling
songs.
Stones are.
Yeah.
But, it's funny. We just mentioned the Beach Boys. I didn't like them for years because of Mike Love. I thought they were just a square band. I couldn't stand them. And then I was told, listen to the music.
Start
Listen to the
listening,
music. Now, I get it,
Yeah. I mean, Good Vibrations.
Yeah.
You could go on and on with the classic fucking songs, just great songs. Which Pet Sounds was the inspiration for Sgt. Pepper's,
Mm-hmm.
and the legend goes, Paul McCartney and Lennon were like, "Oh no, 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 oh no, 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 no." So he re-recorded those songs just so Mike Love wouldn't get a fucking penny from
Good
it.
for him.
So that's a spite re-recording right there. That's a spite re-recording because that guy, he changed them up a little bit and Love got nothing from them. But I think one of the probably the best, and I said this earlier, end around for re-recording songs is Squeeze back in 2008. And I had heard that they were re-recording like all their hits. And I think it's probably because of, ownership rights, and they were but they didn't do it that way, right? They didn't say, "Oh, we're getting fucked by the record company," or, "We want our money." They did an album called, it was a best of, and it's called Spot the Difference. Fucking brilliant.
That's great.
Right? Like you couldn't even say that they were doing this because they're like, "No, we just did a novelty album." Spot the Difference. And those guys as a group were fucking master artists too, musicians.
Yeah.
And everything they did. I think we touched on them last week. So yeah, I think that's the fucking greatest end around of them all. Spot the Difference.
They made it a positive because if you come out and say screw the record, fuck them all, I re-recorded because they stole my money, it puts a negative on the thing and nobody's gonna like it. So here's Squeeze with their cheeky English humor.
Yeah, I used to listen to AOL Music before it turned into something else, and it was just another regular streaming on my phone. I'd be in the pool and you just stick to it. I listen always to Amazon Music, right? Some people listen to Spotify. AOL Music had a great, whole selection. That's everything you'd hear today. And I heard a version of ABC's The Look of Love. And I loved ABC. I still love their music. One of those bands you're like, "Oh yeah, oh shit, they sang that too. Oh yeah, that one of those bands."
Yeah.
And they did The Look of Love, and there's the breakdown in the middle. Martin, someday you'll find new, true love, which was a Bowie suggestion for that song. He was sitting in the studio with them, and they said, "What do you think of the song?" He says, "You need a talking track in there." Then he just got up and left. So there's that little break in the middle of The Look of Love where he's talking to himself. "Oh man, Marty, maybe someday you'll find true love. Oh, I say maybe, but the one right does not." And I'm listening. I go, "That's not the fucking song. That's not the original." You just know. I'm like, I hate that.
Yeah.
It's not the. I turned. Fucking turned the channel.
It's really bad with the oldest stuff. So me, Lou, and Perry, one of our episodes, we were talking. It was Lou saying Italo rock, and it was a lot of those bands. There are artists from the early '60s that were Italian from the Bronx and Brooklyn from the boroughs. It was a fascinating episode. I learned a lot. I go on YouTube and I'm checking out these songs and I couldn't find the originals. I'm hearing re-recordings because those bands, like the doo-wop bands or whatever, they just had different members, so they re-record everything constantly. So it's really bad with the oldest rock and roll, and unless it's the Beatles and the Stones, a lot of these bands, you don't know what you're getting if you buy a greatest hits album. That's the stuff I don't like,
Yeah, I don't like. In alternate versions is a whole different. Maybe we'll talk about that one day, one episode. But so rock documentaries. Give me we'll do, let me see. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many do you have?
1, 2, 3, 4. I have 6 too. Just
all
do
right.
it. We're hitting an hour and a half here. I'm pushing you another 2-hour show. It's not good.
Buddy, listen, I don't even realize it. I don't think you do too. You either, unless I'm boring you.
No, not at all.
I've had Jack yawn a couple times. I'm like, motherfucker, really? Like live streaming? You fucking. If it was just the podcast, dude, I wouldn't care. The people are watching.
Wow. 3 years ago, I was getting up at 5 a.m. for my job. They moved me off site. I've got good parking. I can wake up at 7:30 to go to my work. Yeah. So I'm not going to be yawning. 3 years ago, I might have been yawning at this point. And with the wine,
So give me your first one and give me a quick breakdown of it.
We can include in RocDocs a rock documentary that was a movie in the theater. Yeah. And I'll tell you one of the first ones that I saw, and I saw it in the theater. I was 19 years old. Rattle and Hum. I know it's a concert film, but I consider it a documentary.
It's a documentary in a sense.
And that hit me so, and I loved U2 before that, all through high school. But when I went to the theater, and this is before everyone had surround sound at home, it comes out in black and white. You see him starting Helter Skelter when the lights kick in, and the crowd. It gave, it really gave a great, I know a lot of people say it was overdone. There's a lot of U2 haters. I loved it. It was a combination of U2 and America. They were paying homage to America, our music. And to this day, I can watch it and still be riveted and still get new things from it. Excellent production, excellent direction.
Did you know that I think it's maybe one of the final scenes when they're doing Where the Streets Have No Name and the big red background and Bono comes walking out, you just see his silhouette.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They did that like 10 times.
They told the crowd, hold on.
Yeah. Maybe I'm exaggerating with 10, but it was definitely four or 5 or 6. They redid it.
Was it Tempe, Arizona, right? The
Tempe,
yeah.
Sun Devil Stadium, yeah.
Sun Devil, that's it,
yeah.
Oh, boy.
So I have kind of an obscure one, but it is probably my favorite. I just love this fucking documentary because it's so unique. So it's called Dig, D-I-G, exclamation point. It was made in 2003. And what it is over 7 years, they followed 2 bands, the Dandy Warhols and the Brian Jonestown Massacre, right? So I don't know if you've ever watched Veronica Mars, but the theme song is We Used to Be Friends. That was like the Dandy Warhols. It's a great song. If you haven't heard it, write it down and listen to it. We Used to Be Friends by the Dandy Warhols. So I said, I guess, let me see. It says here 1,500 hours of footage over 108-minute documentary Dig. So I'm just going to read it, which examines the rivalry between 2 American bands, the Dandy Warhols and the Brian Jonestown Massacre. While the Dandy Warhols, led by Courtney Taylor, ended up filling stadiums and earning money from advertisements, Anton Newcomb, who's a fucking genius. Watch that documentary. This fucking guy is pure genius, but he's insane. So you don't know whether it's madness or if it's just like, that's just him being... It's really, the guy is an interesting character. So Anton Newcomb from the Brian Jonestown Massacre forged a path of destruction, right? The film offers a revealing insight into the alternative music scene and the way friendships can falter under pressure of trying to make money while retaining artistic integrity. Dig is also packed with wonderfully bizarre backstage shenanigans. The film won the Grand Jury Prize at the 2004 Sundance Film Festival and stands as one of the best documentaries ever put out, RocDocs. I'm telling you, it's riveting. Like, you can't stop watching it, right? And you might not have heard of these bands. You probably haven't, not you, but people listening. But you will when you watch this documentary. You'll get it. And I actually love Brian Jonestown's Massacre. They have that kind of psychedelic rock, modern rock, psychedelic sound. Just like the Black Angels out of Austin, Texas. I don't know if you've ever listened to them. No. I just love that psychedelic sound. I love reverb. I love songs, guitars, reverb sound. That sound all like synthesizers, reverb. All, and that's what that psychedelic sound is always has a lot of reverb in it.
Yeah.
But watch that movie.
Okay.
You will not be disappointed.
Okay.
What's your next one?
All right. So I'm going to get a little proggy on you here, Scott.
That's all right, buddy. That's right up your alley.
Before he died, Neil Peart, they put out a documentary on Rush called Beyond the Lighted Stage. For a Rush fan, it was heaven because you had Alex and Geddy showing where they went to school together, walking around the Toronto neighborhood, home movies of Alex Lifeson with his father. It's just great. To the non-fan, I actually sent it to some people that hate Rush, and they go, this is a great documentary. What it showed you was Rush as a band were best friends. They were honestly best friends, tight connection to the end. And I love that Neil Peart, right up until the end, kept saying, I'm the new guy in the band, because he wasn't the original drummer. There's very few bands like, look at the Rolling Stones. Mick and Keith hated each other and they fight, whatever. So many English bands, Oasis, right? Kinks, so much friction. Sometimes friction works for music, sometimes it doesn't. Rush were honestly just so close as a unit, and they shouldn't have made it. Geddy's voice, they shouldn't have made it. It's a very peculiar voice. I love it, but everything said they shouldn't have. Any band that's sounding like Led Zeppelin but's making 16-minute songs, they shouldn't make it. But you got this sense of humanity right up until they get up, they catch up at the end. There's a hilarious scene, but you really got to watch the extras on the DVD. Is they got them together for dinner, the three of them, and they're big wine drinkers, and I could never keep up with them. They're at a restaurant, and Alex Lifeson is a clown. He's a guitar player. He's the clown of the group, and so you see different kinds of wine, red and white, and I'm like, how are they doing this? And I know there's some people that can do that. Alex gets so funny that Neil Peart gets the giggles. You ever get where you can't stop laughing? Yeah. And the poor guy, he's just like for like 10 minutes straight. It's freaking. But when you see that, now you see not many bands at that point in their career are going to sit down together and have fun. I don't think U2 sits down together. They might, but I think that they've grown up. Every band grows apart. These guys grew closer for some strange reason than, and that's what I like to see. I just like to see that there were three brothers that were, it just makes you happy, It wasn't all business with them.
What's the name of it?
Beyond the Lighted Stage.
Beyond the Lighted Stage. That's a lyric from Limelight, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's actually directed by these guys that VH1 Classics used to have a series called The Metal Years, and it explored metal. And it was actually interesting because
I watched it. Yeah.
Those guys made this. So I like the way they make documentaries. They really, and Geddy gave them access to everything. The home movie of Alex telling his father, I'm going to drop out of school and I'm going to be in the band. Now, Alex and Geddy both, their parents were first generation immigrants. You saw his father like going, I'm going to kill you. You could just see it. He was heartbroken, but he made something of himself, Yeah. And I learned something else. And, a Rush fan listening would probably say, you're no Rush fan, but now I'm drawing the blank. All we can do is just survive. All we can do is, there's a song of theirs. I thought it was some science fiction type song. He wrote about his mother being in the Holocaust, like she was in the camps and she survived. And now when I hear the song, killing me that I can't think of the title, but it's on Grace Under Pressure album. When you hear it, yeah. It's
we got plenty of time, buddy. I'm in no hurry.
You could edit this out.
Nah, fuck the editing. I decided everything I get is going to be raw, straight raw. I don't care. I've already messed up on some intros, and I just said, fuck it, let it go. I don't think they really care about the intro anyways. Red
Sector A. It was all over the radio.
Okay.
Yeah. I just thought it was like about a post-apocalyptic world, I mean, and then evidently his mother survived. His great. Somewhere, and the husband and wife survived. They got separated and they met up again. You hear stories about that. That's just amazing. So listen to that song again and think about. And Neil Peart wrote it for Getty. Like he made the lyrics.
Brilliant songwriter.
Oh yeah, yeah. In fact, the thing about Rush is in the 70s they were proggy, all the science fiction stuff.
2112, right?
Yeah, all that. But then in the late 80s into the 90s, Neil Peart decided to start writing about real stuff. And so he had some really powerful lyrics. One song, The Pass, was about teen suicide, but he did it in a way that only Neil Peart could do it. It just came out really good. It's good. So his lyrics just constantly changed, you know?
Yeah. You talked about a Rush song about sounds like a post-apocalyptic. The one song I always got that vision from when I listened to it, just by the way he tells the story, how Geddy Lee tells the story, is Little Red Barchetta.
Yeah.
They like, you're not supposed to have a car with gas type thing. And his uncle breaks it out and he takes it for a ride and he gets chased. I always thought it was like, you know, it just sounds like something like post-apocalyptic, like this. You can't have that, you know, and he gets chased by whatever.
My uncle had a farm from before the motor laws. Yeah. And I remember being young, like a teenager, and listening to that and reading the lyrics. I would lay in my bed, look at the, and being like, oh, this is exciting. You know,
it tells a story, tells a great story,
you
know, and that song, it's just to me, it's, I mean, a lot of their songs are brilliant.
Yeah.
One of the, would you say, where would you put them in the 3-man band echelon? Top 5, top 3, top 3. Let's say top 3.
Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Yeah, I put him top 3 because you got Emerson, Lake and Palmer for me is big. Rush. I mean, this is basically 3 guys making a lot of noise. That's what's amazing. And there's a couple of the 3-piece bands. Don't discount. Do you remember Triumph?
Yeah, Triumph.
All right, so they were always called Walmart Rush, right? They weren't like Rush, you know.
No, but they kind of had I can see where that. I never really, but I can see this. I can hear it now. Yeah. Walmart Rush.
That's what in high school people used to make fun of them. But their guitar player, Rick Emmett, I think he was technically better than Alex Lifeson. Very fascinating guitar player. I'm just trying to draw a blank. There's a few trios out there.
ZZ Top.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, now they're a duo, but that's a trio. Well, so is Rush. Whoops.
I saw ZZ Top with Kansas. What a great! You wouldn't think that double bill would work out.
Right.
Worked out great. I was with Tom. We saw it together.
Okay.
And we drank a lot of beer that night. And great show. They fit. It was just two totally different kinds of music. So you were cool with it because it's 2 bands you grew up with. You know.
Who opened for who?
Kansas was first.
I was gonna say, probably. They had their little moment in the sun in the 70s, and then they lived off Dust in the Wind for decades. Right?
Yeah. That's a whole
they
other.
Also did what? Did they do Carry On, Wayward Son?
He said it right. Most people say "Carry On, My Wayward Son." It's "Carry On, Wayward Son."
Yeah. And that was from that was also used in one of those Vietnam movies. Like the guy comes back from Vietnam. I think it was a made-for-TV movie. Forget, maybe John Voight might have been in it or something.
Oh, Coming Home.
That. Coming home. Yeah. Okay. I think it was that John Voight?
He was in that movie. Yeah.
He was the guy in the wheelchair, right?
Yeah.
I think they used that song in that movie.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with came out in 1981. Decline of Western Civilization. Is
that the metal years?
No, that was part 2.
Okay.
That was part 2.
Yeah, that was later.
The Decline of Western Civilization is basically, as they say, a warts and all portrayal of the LA punk scene with electrifying footage of the Germs, X, the Circle Jerks, and remains probably, there's a trilogy of those. Second one was the metal years, and the third one, when it's some new kind of punk genre.
I didn't know.
Yeah, the third one kind of is hard to follow the first one. The metal years was good, but I saw X. I was working I worked a bomb dog when I was stationed in Southern California. I was in the Air Force. I worked security police K9, and I had a bomb dog. So I did a lot of secret service support missions.
Okay.
So they fucking rented me a car, they bought me a suit, and I would report to wherever they told me to report to. Like they would go through my squadron. So you go on these temporary duty times for like 3 days if the president is coming in. So you drive into LA, wherever it was going to be. It could be Santa Monica. It could be anywhere. But this time it was for the state Democratic convention, right? And it was like at the Intercontinental Hotel in downtown LA. And so, you go and I run the bomb dog in all the places they're going to be doing. And then the Secret Service seals it off. So I'm the only one I'm the first one. I'm the last one out. No one else goes in there. Once I search it, it's sterile until the big wig comes in. So we do our mission, but then they're having an after party. So they want us around. Now I'm not armed, but I have the earpiece and the whole microphone. They give you a rundown of everything that's going to be going on, but it's a controlled item. So it's just on a fucking copied piece of paper. You got to give it back to them afterwards. Okay. It's kind of with the earpiece and all that. And I have the pin that lets you go anywhere, but I got this fucking 90-pound Belgian Malinois bomb dog, right?
Yeah.
So they're doing the show and fucking X comes on stage and starts playing. So I fucking saw a free show, right? It was pretty cool. And people coming up, oh, your dog, don't pat him, please. He's kind of bites too, and but he was a cool dog. His name was Castro, right?
And don't worry, if he freaks out at you, you're arrested,
dude. Well, he's a bomb dog, so it doesn't matter. Although we did psych some dude out one time. They pulled his car over on base, and I was coming out of a church, an empty church. We were doing training, and one of the guys says, "See that dog over there? He's going to run your car. And if he finds dope, then you're really in trouble." And dude goes, it's under the seat. So I walk up to the dude and I'm like, what happened? He goes, your dog. I go, dude, it's a fucking bomb dog. He couldn't smell a pound of weed if it was right in front of him. Idiot. He's like, oh. So I'm doing this Secret Service thing, right? And I'm in it's in like their courtyard, a big fucking courtyard. So and it's all these rich fucking donors, right? So they're all coming out and they're drinking, and this fucking lady has this little fucking piece of shit like Yorkshire Terrier, right? A Yorkie. And she puts it down, right? And so what do you think is going to happen? The dog sees my dog, and fucking terriers think that they're fucking the size of a rhino. They'll fucking go after anything. The fucking dog comes after my dog. Now we're trained. Don't let your dog get another dog, because now we're fucked. Like if my dog bit down on that dog, I'm fucked, right? So I have to string the dog up. I have to bring him up on his hind legs with the leash and spin him around. And I'm like spinning away from this dog. But this dog is fucking running circles, right? And people are watching this. So I spin the dog around once. And I spin around twice. I'm like, fuck this. And I line it up and I fucking kick that fucking dog like a fucking football.
How loud the lady scream?
Oh, lost her fucking mind, right? I kicked this dog literally like 7 feet, right? Get the fuck. She comes over screaming. I was like, well, you saw what? That's it. I'm suing you. Blah, 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 blah. She's just losing her mind. She's crying. There's other people like, oh my God. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm just watching a concert, right? I'm seeing X for free, right? On a private show. So I'm like, this isn't going to be good. Nothing good is coming to this. So 2 of the Secret Service guys come up to me and they're like, yeah, you good? I go, yeah, but I'm probably going to get in trouble for this. Dude goes, nah, we got you back, man. We saw exactly what happened. Yeah. I'm like, cool. And one of them goes, by the way, that might have been the greatest thing I've ever seen. That fucking dog, you launched that dog. And they were fucking dying laughing. So that was my ex story. I got a lot of stories.
And there's nothing like getting into a concert for free, seeing a concert for free, whatever you're doing. I mean, I saw a couple for free where I was the T-shirt guy. I got in the back door. That is just a great feeling. You know? I'm here for free. I got more money to buy drinks. You know?
Yeah. So that's my second one. Decline of the Western Civilization. Highly recommend it. What do you got for number 3?
Hey, I'm gonna go metal on you because
All right.
Iron Maiden put a movie out and it was crazy. It's called Flight 666. They toured the world. They literally toured the world with Bruce Dickinson, the singer, piloting their aircraft.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he's an avid pilot. Yeah.
Yeah, and these guys are freaking hilarious. They are really funny guys. And so it followed them to each country. So in between, you'd see the flight path like an old movie, you know. They go to India, they go to Germany, they go, you know, England, of course, and then they go over to Japan. And it's almost a letdown because by the end, they come to the United States and they're at the Meadowlands Arena, which I grew up going to, but this is boring. Like, Meadowlands, you know. They go to Toronto, the crowd's like dead. You know, just Canadians. But
fucking Canadians.
It showed another one. It just showed a band behind the scenes, like working together. And I love seeing the mechanics of a tour, what it takes for these bands to tour, which is phenomenal, especially a band with a big stage set. Just the logistics of everything. Of course, they have 2 stage sets. They have to have, you know, there's one on the way, there's one setting up. That's what I liked about that is you see the itinerary, you see behind the scenes, you see. I love seeing the manager with him, and he's in the new city, and he's doing you know, all the paperwork and lining up stuff. It's a corporation, not corporation like they're all about business, but it's a running corporation on wheels, and everything has to be spot on. And that's what I loved about that. Just crew got to get that thing up. The band has to do this by this time. Everything. Like, it's so well-oiled machine. It's and those tour managers, God bless them. They are good.
That's it. All right, I'll take your metal doc. And who was that? That was what band was that? How can I forget? You just told me.
Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden, yeah.
Yeah.
Bruce Dickinson. I'll take your Iron Maiden. I will raise you a Metallica. Some kind of monster.
Yeah.
That's an intense fucking documentary. It came out in 2004. And what a time for the fucking documentarian to be there.
Yeah.
Like Jason Newsted leaves the band. Fucking Lars Ulrich and James Hetfield are fighting. Hetfield goes into fucking rehab. They have to test out new bassists, right? And there was a scene where they were bringing in new bass players, like they were auditioning. And one of them was that dude fucking, like, I think his name is like Iggy or Squeaky or something like that. He was the bass player for Marilyn Manson.
Okay.
Really weird looking, skinny little dude, man. And I'm like, this, no way, this guy is going to be in Metallica. I don't care how good he is. He just doesn't. No, he's not this style. But you see and then they settle for Trejo.
Danny
Trejo? No, not
that's the actor.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Trujillo.
Trujillo. Yeah.
The scene. How about you? Remember the scene when he's told he's got the gig?
It's fucking great.
Like, it's like,
we're gonna write you a check right now for $1 million. Right there, they wrote it. We can say we're going to write you a check for $1 million. We'll take care of your family. Go do what you got to buy with it. You know, set your family up because you're going to be on tour now.
Yeah,
like right at the table, they fucking wrote him a check for $1 million. You're in the band.
Joining Metallica's like joining the Rolling Stones. You're part of a establishment. You know, and he got it.
Did you ever see his son? His son played bass. His son came on and played with. I think he played with Korn. There's a video on YouTube of him, you know, because they're friends, I guess. And I'm pretty sure it was a Korn concert. And the kid comes out with, you know, playing fucking bass, you know, on one of the songs. And it's like, what the fuck, kid? Like this kid, he was fucking 13, 14 or something at the time, I think.
Yeah.
This kid was like a fucking prodigy. Unbelievable. I guess when your dad does that, right? You know, so following his footsteps.
There's another scene in the movie too when I think Lars and I don't know two of the guys. I think Hetfield was already in in rehab, but they go to see Jason Newsted's band.
Oh, yeah,
and he wouldn't
yeah,
come
yeah.
out. He wouldn't come out and say anything. And Lars is like, I think he's mad or something.
Yeah.
No shit, Sherlock.
Yeah. I think he made enough money with that band. He doesn't. I'm sure he doesn't want for anything at this point. I'm sure
you could never hear him on any of the albums. They mixed his bass down so far, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm not the biggest Metallica fan. They're actually my generation, because when I was a teenager is when Ride the Lightning came out, and I liked them then. I kind of softened up on them, but I don't care. That documentary was so good that if I hated the band, I'd still like the documentary.
Yeah. So what else you got?
Well, I'm going to give you a half-assed one, and this is why, because I just started watching it 2 days ago. I have everyone telling me I got to like Fish. Everything I've heard from Fish, I don't like them. They're boring. And Trey Anastasio, I said he's boring. So I turn on Prime, and there's a documentary about him. I said, all right, let me give him my son-in-law. He's always trying to get me to listen to him. I started the documentary. I'm not going to go out and buy any Fish albums, but let me tell you, I found a newfound respect for the guy. He's living a magical life because he lives in Manhattan. He writes his music, and he pops in the car and he drives up to Vermont to the barn and he records. What a life. I mean, and he's a genuinely cool guy. I got that he wasn't stuck up of anything, and he's got a great relationship with his mom. He walks with her, talks to her. I don't know the name offhand, and I only had 6 hours to prepare, so I suck. I'm going to finish it. It's very long. I watched it when I was on my exercise bike, but another example of sometimes a documentary can make you appreciate an artist you think you hate.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not going to go out buying Fish albums. That's not going to happen anytime soon. I always thought they were just boring, and I still think that.
Yeah. This is a brilliant, intriguing story, but it's a documentary that tells a story, and it came out in 2012, and it got a lot of press, a lot of accolades. Searching for Sugar Man. Did you ever hear about it?
I heard all about it. I haven't seen it because of the hype. I wanted to wait.
Yeah, it's worth watching. It says one of the most inspiring music documentaries of modern times is Searching for Sugar Man, a Swedish-British production about a lost relic of the American folk scene, a folk singer called Sixto Rodriguez, whose work was a significant part of the soundtrack of the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa. Malik Benavada's film reveals how Rodriguez's South African fans initially assumed that their idol had died before discovering he was actually working as a builder in Detroit. The success of the film, it won an Oscar for Best Documentary. Rejuvenated Rodriguez's singing career. The documentary was uplifting and touching, but there was a sad prescript, and I won't say it. The guy who made the film was just 36, and he killed himself 2 years after the film came out. Really? I didn't know that. Yeah, he killed himself in Stockholm. So, Searching for Sugar Man, it's such a fucking great story. Yeah, and that was like literally just scratching the surface, like the corner of a surface. With this, how deep this documentary goes and the twists and turns that it takes. Wow. And it shows how one side of the world, you never know what's going on. True. You never know who's listening. Like, milk crates and turntables. I heard it's big in Swahili. Swahili land. Yeah. We're fucking huge over there. Yeah. Who would have thought?
Music Relish has New Zealand listeners.
See? There you go. Like, you just never know.
I like Lord of the Rings, so it's all good, So...
Just don't watch the new Amazon fucking.
Don't tell me did they fuck it up?
It's not even Lord of the Rings. It's not even close. We'll talk off air about that one.
Yeah.
I'll send you a couple of videos you can watch on. Okay. Anyways, go on.
Okay. John Lennon, give me some truth. I'm very selective with any documentary about anyone from the Beatles. There's so many of them. Some of them are just, it's too many. So I started watching this going, I'll give it a whirl. It's about him recording the Imagine album at his home studio, and riveted. It shows, as we know, John Lennon was a complicated guy, and it shows him behind the scenes. It's more behind the scenes talking to everybody than the actual music. Although you see he has a couple good arguments with Phil Spector, which is always fun to watch, but like the scene that I remember that I liked was he had George Harrison come in to lay guitar on one song. And so George Harrison walks in now. This is at that time, they all had their angelic hippie look. So George Harrison comes in with his long hair. But when they sit at the table, the two of them, you see two young kids from Liverpool. You see the old chemistry,
Yeah.
And you also don't forget that they broke up. Well, there was bad stuff between him and McCartney, but they still talked,
Yeah.
Watching Lennon try and record some of the vocal tracks, and he was getting so frustrated, and we know he had a temper. Just you didn't want to be. Thank God I wasn't in that room. It showed the human side of him. I find him fascinating, and that's 25-hour documentary. Get Back. There's scenes in that too where you'll catch John Lennon looking at Paul McCartney talking, and it's such a look as, does he want to kill him, or is he going to yell at him? And he changed minute by minute, I really like this. I discovered later in life that his personality, I really like it. But that is a fascinating, it contains a lot of footage you've seen in other movies, like the Lennon movie, the Imagine, that they put out 20 years ago. There's a famous scene where the guy was hiding in his garden, and they bring him in, and he gives him tea and he gives him food, and the guy's like asking him questions about lyrics, and he goes, "They're just lyrics. Yeah, they're just fucking lyrics. Don't read too much into them," And I love that he said that, because he saw this guy, he could have been dangerous, he could have been.
Yeah. He ended up meeting somebody that was dangerous.
George Harrison.
George Harrison. Yeah. I mean, I thought.
Oh, Lennon too.
Yeah, Lennon. I thought it was, lyrics, like Steely Dan has their own, they have a name for the way they write lyrics. I forget. I'll come up with it later. But it's like, it's nonsensical. Like if you listen to Steely Dan lyrics, but they do it like almost like purposeful. Like they do it on purpose.
Yeah. They're being cute.
Yeah, but that's their style of writing. So it kind of worked for them.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'll tell you another one that has fucking lyrics that make no fucking sense most of the time. But he's Bruce Springsteen. Oh my God. Fucking lyrics, dude. Yeah, I mean, just listen to the lyrics on fucking Thunder Road or, whatever. His fucking lyrics are like, what? Like, if you just read it, you're like, none of this. It's just a series of great, like, little quotes or little sayings or little shit he put together. It's never really. Hey, why doesn't he play Glory Days anymore? Why did he stop playing Glory Days? What is that song about?
I saw him do it live, and it didn't sound good live, to tell you the truth. Some songs don't go as live.
I heard there was some story behind it, that song, and he just didn't play it. I don't know. It's one of
I thought it was about he just hung out in a bar, and he was going through a midlife crisis, and he's watching a baseball game. Oh, that's the video. Okay, yeah. I like his lyrics, but again, you know what? I get it. People that don't like it, I'm not going to argue.
They asked him. This isn't on my list, but "Darkness on the Edge of Town," the making of "Darkness on the Edge of Town," is a great fucking documentary.
Yeah.
It's a great documentary. And they asked him at one point about 10th Avenue Freeze Out, and they're like, "What does that mean?" He goes, "I have no idea. It doesn't mean anything. It just sounded like something cool to say." 10th Avenue Freeze Out.
Yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason why that came out the way it came out, but it came out good.
Yeah,
that's actually one of my favorite songs. You know, one of my favorite songs by him, I get three like favorite songs, is "Tunnel of Love." Fucking love that song.
Oh yeah.
Right? "Tunnel of Love" is a great fucking song.
Now
those are pretty good lyrics. Those lyrics I give him credit
for. Too. People, the Springsteen fans, hated that album.
Yeah.
I loved it. I think
it's a good album. That's a fucking good album. "Candy's Room." It's one of his shortest songs, right? It's a simple song.
Yeah.
But it's a fucking great song.
Yeah.
"Candy's Room." I love that. And then there's the epic song that's on Born to Run.
Jungle Land.
Yeah. I mean, so evidently the after Clarence died, Springsteen wouldn't play that song. Like it's like I can't play that because that is the greatest sax solo in music history.
Yeah.
It just is. It proved me wrong. I'll always say, prove me wrong. That's the greatest sax solo.
I think John Coltrane beat him on a few songs, but
there you go. But that's John Coltrane's thing, like jazz. Yeah. But he finally played it, and Clarence Clemens' nephew toured with him.
Yeah.
And he played it. And I guess it was just kind of one of those real moving types of moments, because I'm sure he made sure you got that. You better get this fucking perfect. Make your uncle proud type thing.
Yeah. And I have a DVD of Bruce. I think it's Hyde Park or Glastonbury. No, Hyde Park. And it was probably the last tour that Clarence did. And you could see he wasn't doing good. He barely moved. Like I heard his knees were messed up and it was so painful to watch, but he still played. He could still play the notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a jazz club in Hollywood, Florida. And I lived in Hollywood. Clarence Clemens did. And I never went. Like, I was like, I should have just fucking, at least always hindsight.
Yeah.
Should have just,
I wanted to go to Ron Wood's club in Manhattan. Never did it. Should have went. Woody's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see. Next one I have is Sound City, Reel to Reel. Came out in 2013. The Dave Grohl documentary.
Yeah.
Basically, I'll read it. Dave Grohl once joked that when he entered the famous Sound City Studios in Van Nuys, Los Angeles, he was shocked at how much of a dump the famous recording venue would become since its glory opening in 1969. When the studio closed in 2011, Grohl bought the Neve 8028 analog mixing console and decided to produce and direct a documentary in tribute to the famous studio that he said really did change my life forever. The documentary includes interviews with console inventor Rupert Neve, right?
Yeah.
And lots of musicians who use the studio, including Tom Petty, Paul McCartney, John Fogerty, and Neil Young. Grohl I actually, when I started getting back into vinyl, I bought that soundtrack. It's a fucking good soundtrack.
Yes.
I love the Stevie Nicks cut on that. And it was all mixed on that board.
Yeah.
And it's just a really entertaining, sometimes funny documentary called Sound City.
It was riveting because I didn't realize how many damn albums are recorded in that studio.
Right.
Albums that I love and albums that I like. Rick Springfield recorded there. So there was pop stuff being made there.
Yep.
Fleetwood Mac left a lot of razor blade marks in that studio. Just, it was amazing. And kudos to Dave Grohl. A lot of people hate the guy. He really cares about this stuff. And what he did was amazing. He kept that legacy going.
Yeah. Yeah. He appreciates the history.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he said, I got to have that fucking board too.
Yeah.
You're never going to, that thing just has so much history in it. Just own it just for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many great mixing boards fucking just got destroyed with studios, like old Motown studio. I don't know if that's the case. Just kind of throwing that out there, but old mixing boards that recorded some of the greatest music that they didn't know was going to be great. Yeah. It's just a mixing board, right?
Yep. We discussed on Music Relish, Perry brought up the Rolling Stones Mobile. You remember that?
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah, on the podcast. Yeah.
And we were thinking, where is it? Where is it? I thought for sure, it's like somewhere in England. It's in Canada. They made a museum out of it. You can go visit the thing. Wow. I would love to see that. I mean, Led Zeppelin stuff. Oh, he listed the bands and more than I thought.
Yeah. So what else you got?
I got one more.
Yep.
There's a documentary on you've heard of Muscle Shoals Studio, of course.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Did you see that documentary?
I did.
I was fascinated by it.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the whole thing of the guy that started it, and then the musicians buy the studio and he becomes a competing guy across town. I found it so fascinating. I know what was recorded there, but it could have went belly up if it wasn't for the Rolling Stones. I think they're the ones that saved Muscle Shoals. Yeah. I didn't know that. So here's the Swampers. They own the studio. They're a bunch of musicians.
Yeah.
Musicians don't know what to do. We don't know business, you know.
That's just a playground for them. That's all it is, right? They bought a playground.
Yeah. And I learned something about the Swampers. I mean, you look at them, it's almost hilarious the way they look. Like these guys are playing behind Aretha Franklin. They look like nerds, you know?
Yeah.
Roger Hawkins, great drummer. Yeah.
It's like there's a great documentary. I didn't have it on my list. In the Shadows of Motown, about the Jungle Brothers, the Funk Brothers, right? That's another phenomenal fucking documentary. Like there's so many. Like we could do every show you come on, we could come up with 3 rock documentaries.
Yeah.
This man, we'll do that every time you come on. We'll have 3. We'll finish 3 documentaries. Right?
Like rock documentaries to me are like my favorite kind of book besides horror is rock books, music books, any kind of musician. I don't care if I don't like the musician, but they say the book's good, I'll read it. And so between that, so I was on overload when you said we're going to RocDocs. It's like 1,000 of them. I had to start thinking.
Yeah, you did see. You're like, that's a good lineup. I like this. That's good.
And I'm
stuff.
like, holy shit. What am I going to think?
Exactly. And I was thinking, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to throw it up because there's so many. Yeah. So I saw this one's probably, it came out in 2014. So I think I saw it probably around 2017. And it's called Looking for Johnny, the Johnny Thunders story.
Oh.
Right? So basically the synopsis is central to the story of legendary New York City proto-punks, the New York Dolls, and later the leader of the talented but short-lived Heartbreakers, the enigmatic Johnny Thunders inspired glam metal and punk, yet his career was blighted by chronic drug addiction, and he died in mysterious circumstances in New Orleans in 1991. In the gripping Looking for Johnny, director Danny Garcia, traces the arc of a surprisingly complex life from Thunder's early years as a shy, baseball-adoring teen to his poignant latter years battling narcotics and leukemia, whatever the hell that is, some disease. But there is a serious mystery in there. There's a mystery in there, in that documentary that I won't even like begin to touch on it. You have to just watch it. What
was the name of it again?
Looking for Johnny, the Johnny Thunders story.
Okay.
It's another documentary about one of the New York Dolls, Arthur Kane. Was it Arthur Kane? Arthur Killer Kane?
I think so.
Yeah.
Lou?
I think it was Arthur Killer Kane. And it's basically his story, and he's dying. He died of I think leukemia or cancer.
Okay.
While they were making the documentary, so they kind of went through, and I think he got together with some of the New York Dolls, but I don't think David Johansen showed up. He really distanced himself from that group for some strange fucking reason. And I got to look into that. Maybe there's something out there, but he really did distance himself from them. Maybe because he wanted to have his own thing. And David Johansen's career was kind of clownish, if you ask me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know, Buster Poindexter, and, you know, I think it's kind of like a Tim Curry kind of career. Good
correlation. You know? Yeah.
Tim Curry had I love that song, Working on My Tan. Tim Curry I liked him better than David Johansen, though. Tim Curry had a couple of good songs. When he say it's invigorating, one of the songs, it's something like it's fascinating. I forget the song, but I like Tim Curry. Tim Curry. Oh, no. Yeah. I mean, he's just a great dude. All right, buddy. So let's move into top 10 this week. Top 10 songs. Good documentaries, by the way. Good list. You had a good list. I'm surprised we didn't have any crossovers like right away, but there's so many of them, right?
That happens on Music Relish. We always cross.
And they were, I would assume. And
they'll see me furiously crossing stuff off, like, damn it, guys, damn it.
Yeah. Actually, we covered a lot of different genres in those too. We kind of kicked around. So, all right. Top 10 this week in 1978. At number 10 this week in 1978, or the week ending August, whatever, 1978. Number 10 is Still the Same. Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band. This is a fucking good list. This is a pretty cool fucking top 10. It really gives you an appreciation of how great the music was back then compared to today's shit. Yeah. Number 9, Love Will Find a Way by
Oh.
Uh-oh. 3, 2, 1.
I'm off it. I'm off the show.
Pablo Cruz.
And I love Pablo Cruz. Tom's
Yeah.
going to kill me for that one.
All right. You better fess up to him before he finds out.
I'm sorry, Tom.
Cut it off at the ankles. Number 8 this week in 1978, Hot Blooded by Foreigner. Number 7 in fuck me. Let me drink some water. Hold on. Did I just go
I wasn't going to say anything.
The fuck was that? Drinking my water out of a mason jar. It looks like fucking moonshine, doesn't it?
I'm sure it is. You're in Florida.
Yeah, not 31 years sober, buddy. I ain't going back. Not for this show. If I do it, I'm doing it for a whole different fucking reason. Not for this show. Number 7 this week in 1978, Used to Be My Girl by She Used to Be My Girl.
Oh, man. I'm drawing a blank.
The OJs.
Oh.
And it's actually Usta, as in USETA, Be My Girl. Used to Be My Girl. Number 6 this week in 1978, the great classic 70s song, probably in the top 10 greatest 70 songs ever for radio, Baker Street by Jerry Rafferty.
Oh,
do you ever turn that song off?
Never.
Do you ever turn it? Speaking of Dave Grohl, did a great remake on it. Instead of he's going to give up the booze in the one night stands, Dave Grohl says he's going to give up the crack in the one night stands. Kind of changed that lyric.
Yeah.
Which Dave Grohl loves doing covers of those songs. Again, showing appreciation.
Yeah.
Number 5 this week in 1978, Shadow Dancing by
You're killing me. Oh my
Shadow
God.
Dancing.
Can I just go on Google real quick? I'm just reaching for my drink.
No.
No.
Andy Gibb.
Yeah,
The late Andy Gibb. Well, 3 out of 4, it's the late now, right? There's only one left.
No, one left.
Who's left? Is it Maurice or is
Barry.
it Barry?
The singer, Barry, yeah.
Oh, he's the only one? Okay.
And he can still hit the notes.
Yep. Number 4 this week in 1978, Last Dance by Donna Summer. Number 3 this week in 1978, Grease by Frankie Valli.
I love that song.
Number 2 this week in 1978, 3 Times a Lady, the Commodores. And number 1.
How did Eddie Murphy sing it? 3 times a lady.
That's right. Buckwheat, right? Yeah. Buckwheat Sings. That's a great video. Buckwheat Sings. Number 1 this week in 1978, maybe the not so great Miss You by the Rolling Stones. Nah, that's a great song. I still love that song.
I love that.
I still love that song.
It's
but that's a hell of a top 10 right there.
That is.
All right. Move on to this day in music. I have some
Yay.
interesting side notes on this. On some of these. On this day in 1963, the Beatles played their last ever performance at the Cavern Club in Liverpool. During their set, a power cut silenced the instruments and plunged the cavern into temporary darkness. Lennon and McCartney, check this out, performed an acoustic version of When I'm 64, a song they wouldn't release until 67 while waiting for the electricity to come on.
Wow.
And Paul McCartney wrote that song when he was like fucking 12.
That's
When
amazing.
I'm 64. Yeah.
It seemed to come from that era.
I was there. That's an I was there moment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, all right. On this day in 1963, speaking of the Beach Boys from earlier, the Beach Boys released Surfer Girl, the first song Brian Wilson ever wrote and the first one he ever produced. On this day in 1968, the 2-day Newport Pop Festival took place in Costa Mesa, California, with Alice Cooper, Canned Heat, the Chambers Brothers, the Charles Lloyd Quartet, Country Joe and the Fish, Electric Flag, James Cotton Blues Band, Paul Butterfield Blues Band, Sonny and Cher, Steppenwolf, and the late, great Tiny Tim.
Ah,
Yeah. Over 100,000 fans attended the festival in 1968, and it was always pretty mellow, I'm sure.
yeah.
On this day in 1968, The Doors started a 2-week run at number 1 on the U.S. singles chart with, give me a guess,
68.
in 1968. Number 1 for 2 weeks.
Touch Me.
Nope. Hello, I Love You.
The Kinks ripoff.
Yeah. The group's second U.S. number 1, Hello, I Love You, was also in the top 5 at the same time as, now, maybe I already did an episode on cover versions, cover songs, but maybe we could kind of incorporate that whenever you and I do a show, or Lou, kind of incorporate some great cover songs. It was on the charts the same time as Jose Feliciano's version of Light My Fire. I fucking love that version.
Me too.
That is one of my favorite cover songs ever. I don't know. I really don't know which one I like better, because the Doors version is beautiful.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful fucking song, right? But Jose Feliciano makes it his.
Oh, yeah.
It's just so fucking good, man. So it gives giving the Doors 2 songs written by the group simultaneously in the top 5. On this day in 1969, Creedence Clearwater Revival released their third studio album and first U.S. number 1, Green River. It was the second of 3 albums they released in a year.
That's amazing.
If they had stretched it out, maybe their career would have been longer, or the brothers just would have imploded anyways.
Yeah.
Right. The first one being Bayou Country, and the third being Willie and the Poor Boys. The album featured the title track, Green River, and Bad Moon Rising, both of which were major hits in the U.S. They had a lot of hits. On this day in 1971, Paul McCartney announced the formation of his new group, Wings, with his wife, Linda, and the former Moody Blues guitarist and singer, Denny Lane. On this day in 1973, Stevie Wonder released his 16th studio. Now, I've always said this. I've said this on the show a number of times. I've said it on Facebook, and I've caught shit for it from people. You don't know what you're talking about. I think I kind of know what I'm talking about when it comes to music. But, I mean, I'm no music relish guy. But I love saying that. I love putting you guys. I put you guys on the biggest pedestal, man.
You hear that on the show?
There it is. It is.
We do that for Tom when I mention artists I'm not supposed to be mentioning.
Stevie Wonder is the most talented musical artist ever. Ever.
He's up there with classical composers. Just
this
his
guy,
sheer talent. Yeah.
Right here alone, Stevie Wonder released his 16th studio album in 73. Inner Visions. Wonder played all or virtually all instruments on 6 of the album's 9 tracks. Yeah. And the singles from the album were Higher Ground and my absolute favorite Stevie Wonder song. It's a fucking masterpiece. Living for the City. Doesn't get played enough. It's a fucking great story. It's a great groove. I saw him do it, and you can Google it. I mean, YouTube it. On Saturday Night Live, I think he did the live version of it.
Oh, okay.
But he's Mr. Know-It-All. But Living for the City is a fucking masterpiece of a song. And it has breakdowns. It has different. Yeah. I like the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's, or Strawberry Fields. Has different breaks in them. Yeah. They go to a whole different place. And then they somehow circle back. Living for the City does that. On this day in 1985, Tears for Fears started a 3-week run at number 1 on the U.S. singles chart with Shout, the duo's second U.S. number 1. On this day in 1985, Drive by the Cars was re-released following its dramatic use on TV during the Live Aid concert. All royalties from the record went to the Band Aid Trust. I don't know what they mean by dramatic use on TV. I watched the video. I mean, Ben Orr was, that dude was a fucking he never got enough credit.
I was just going to say the same thing. He sings some of their best songs. And again, Candy-O, he shined. The video for Drive was dramatic. Maybe that's what they're talking about, you know? Great video.
Yeah, but that was already released, though.
I think
it came out with the video, came out with the song.
Yeah, I think like every TV show for years would use that song in the heartbreak moment where Jack and Lisa split up or something, and you know they have the breakdown. So yeah, that's what they're probably talking about. But it is a great song.
Ben Orr is the Christine McVie of the Cars.
Yeah,
there's not a bad song that she sings, Christine McVie.
Yeah,
I actually like her better than Stevie Nicks. I like her songs better. Stevie Nicks' songs are legendary, but Christine McVie's songs are they are just as good. I don't care what anyone says.
She was very conservative with her output. She wrote a song, it had to be good. So if she only came up with 2 songs, she came up with 2 songs. She's very careful with her songwriting. Excellent songwriter.
Now, this one's a little weird. This might explain why Bill Wyman never came back to the Rolling Stones. Like, never came back, right? They didn't even, reunion tours. They never asked him to come back. He said he retired, right? But they never fucking truly retire, right?
No. He did a big band thing. He had a jazz thing going.
Well, he never went back to the Stones.
No.
So, on this day in 1986, the News of the World in the UK printed an exclusive interview with 16-year-old model Mandy Smith, who revealed she had been having an affair with the Rolling Stones' Bill Wyman for the past 2.5 years.
Ooh.
Dude, she was fucking 16, 14, 13 and a half. That's why that motherfucker never came back. They were like,
Mm-hmm.
Bye-bye.
Yep.
Bye-bye, Bill. You're not fucking bringing us down that that trap.
Wow.
No. You're not that important. You're just a bass player.
Explains a lot.
Yeah. He just disappeared from their whole purview.
Mm.
Right?
Yep.
Never a mention of him once and then I guess his son fucking weirdly ended up dating that girl's mother. Like, what the fuck?
That's a strange double date. Son, how's her mother?
Jesus. Yeah, like Louis says, Gary Glitter, part 3. Who was part 2? That's what I want to know.
A lot.
Let me know, Louis. Who's part 2?
We don't know. There's a lot.
Yeah, he'll let us know. On this day in 1987, Def Leppard released their 4th studio album. Do you know what it is?
Def Leppard. Okay, so you got first one, High and Dry, Pyromania. Yeah, the one with all the freaking hits. Pour Some Sugar on Me. Big part of my youth, and I can't think of the name.
You are just Hysteria.
Hysteria, yeah.
Which became their best-selling album to date, selling over 20 million copies worldwide. The title of the album was thought up by drummer Rick Allen, relating to his experiences during the time of his car accident and the worldwide media coverage that followed. A Perry instrumental. Oh, Jesus. Oh. Yikes. Yikes. The listeners aren't going to, they're like, I don't know what that means. So
we better get the boats up to Colonel Kurtz up to Maycon and deliver him the message.
Lou just napalmed it. All right. On this day in 2002, after an absence of 37 years, Bob Dylan returned to the Newport Folk Festival, now known as the Apple and Eve Newport Folk Festival, where he performed a 2-hour show of 19 songs wearing a false beard and wig. And he still sucked. Still sucked.
I'm not going to argue with you.
Who's this guy that sucks exactly like Bob Dylan? Who's this guy with the fake beard? He sucks just like Bob Dylan. Songs played include Subterranean Homesick Blues, Desolation Row, Positively 4th Street, The Wicked Messenger, Like a Rolling Stone, and Mr. Tambourine Man, which we will get to in a second. Something related to that. Birthdays today. Happy birthday, Tony Bennett. You are a fucking living legend, icon, fucking he just sealed it when he did that duet album, the Duets album. Sealed his fate as a fucking legend.
Of that whole group of crooners, he's my personal favorite.
fucking legend and a
I like
nice
him better than
fucking guy.
Sinatra. Sorry, shoot me now, but I was always a Tony Bennett guy.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I can't argue with that. And a nice fucking guy.
Yeah.
Just always seemed like a nice. You never heard anything bad about him. You heard a lot about Sinatra. Dean Martin, you heard like kind of with his kid or whatever. I don't know if the whatever, but Tony Bennett, solid as a rock. Happy birthday, born on this day in 1946, John York from the Byrds. Right. The only original member of the band, I think we covered that last week, to sing Mr. Tambourine Man.
Oh yeah.
They had the all the musicians weren't like the Byrds weren't there. He was the only bird in the cage, I guess.
Canary in the coal mine.
Canary in the coal mine. Happy birthday, born on this day, Lee Rocker. Who's Lee Rocker?
Stray Cats.
There you go. What did he play?
Is he the bass player? I got a 50-50 chance because I know Brian Setzer was the guitarist. So bassist?
Final answer?
Yeah.
Bass player.
Got one right.
You got one right.
I'm smart.
Speaking of some kind of monster, happy birthday, James Hetfield, born on this day in 1963. And finally, happy birthday, Deidre Roper. Deidre Roper, born in 1971. Who is Deidre Roper?
The Ropers.
You got this, buddy.
The Ropers on Three's Company.
No, those aren't real people. They don't have real birthdays. But nice try. Deidre Roper, otherwise known as DJ Spinderella, for the legendary, iconic 80s, 90s rap trio Salt and Pepper.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I like me some DJ Spinderella back in the day. I think she was the best looking one in the group.
I love.
And that's the show, buddy. We set a record.
Oh God, yeah.
2.5 hours.
Oh my God.
Shit.
It's half of a Bruce Springsteen concert.
We're heading like into fucking Grateful Dead territory here. Fuck. But buddy, that was a fast 2.5 hours.
Yeah, had a great time. Thanks for having me.
Good show. Good, solid show, my friend. And once again, I always appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate your knowledge. I'm not kissing up to you. I'm being straightforward. You're you're nothing but a positive addition to the Milk Crates and Turntables podcast, but you ain't going anywhere. You're always on the hook from now on, buddy. You're locked in. We did a 2.5 hour show. That's a bonding right there, buddy. We fucking bonded tonight.
And no drum solos.
Yeah. Where Jack would go out to get a beer. Next week, if you're around, if you're not, if you want a staycation, keep me posted.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we'll have on Lou and Tom. If Tom is willing. Lou already committed. So I'm holding you to it, Lou. Holding you to it, buddy.
We're from Jersey. We're from Jersey. You can count on us.
Absolutely. Fucking A. Fucking A. I like that. All right. Well, for those of you that listened and watched for the whole 2.5 hours, you are a true fan, and I fucking appreciate it. I'm sure Mark appreciates you sticking around listening to us. That means maybe we did something right tonight. As I always say, you guys listening to the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to, you are the engine that drives this machine. Without you, me and Mark would have had a 2.5 hour phone conversation. And you ever been on the phone longer than a fucking hour? It starts to get uncomfortable.
Elbow hurting.
I need the old fucking phone with the horn, with the fucking shoulder horn. Remember that thing?
Yeah.
You fucking the attachment, and you put that. Your mother put that on his shoulder. She could fucking cook. She could clean. She could fucking change a diaper. And that
Kids
fucking
up the cord, running under
that
the cord.
30-foot fucking cord stretched to 40 feet. It could go up the fucking stairs, and she had that fucking attachment stuck to his shoulder, perfectly formed. Those need to come back. We need to create something for a fucking cell phone, because fuck the speakerphone too, because it always turns into, what did you say? Huh? Where are you? What are you doing? Yeah, fucking. I had a dude. I did a live stream the other night, and this dude came on. He's like a contributor to the live stream that I do, and he's on the speakerphone, and you hear him fucking putting plates away. like me and the other dude, my co-host. I'm the co-host. I let him do the host. You hear this guy, and he's just waiting to come in, and you hear plates, bringing fucking silverware, getting taken out of the dishwasher. It's like
this is not in the bathroom.
Yeah, exactly. I hate that. You know how many of my friends fucking torment me with that shit? Oh, by the way, I was taking a dump while we're talking. I fucking do hate that. It scares me. Why are you talking to me while you're taking a fucking dump? It's beyond me. I'm not that important. I'm fucking willing to give that up. I'm not that important that you have to talk to me while you're taking a dump. There's plenty of other people to call in your life, I'm sure. I'm not one of them.
And when they tell you that, all of a sudden your phone smells. You're like,
you know what they do. They do their business. They clean their business. And then they pick up their phone and they fucking walk out before they even wash their fucking hands. Think about it. Think about it, people. Think about that. They say you can't put a toothbrush near a toilet. It can't be within 10 feet. Right. You're fucking in there talking to me on your cell phone. You clean, put the phone, and then you go wash your hands. Too late. Fucking too late. You did it. You got shit on your phone. You got a shitty fucking phone. That's that to that. That's that. Don't call me. I'm not that important.
Scott's on fire.
Yeah. You can wait. You can wait to call me. You can wait.
No dumps.
No. But I always get the flush. They always say, guess what I was doing? Like, do you fucking, like, I guess you do this on, so you go to do your business and you're fucking sitting there and you're like, I'm sick of scrolling through Facebook. Let me call Scott. While I'm taking a dump, and then I'm going to talk to him for nothing. Then I'm just going to flush it to get his reaction. What the fuck do you get out of that?
It's a macho thing.
You get me all fired up is what you get. And then they hang up, so I can't even rant to them.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go tell my wife, fucking Mark Smith was taking a shit while I was talking to him.
Lou's going to cut that section of the show out and play it. I know it.
It's a sound bite. Okay. Have at it, Lou. It's all yours. I give you the fucking copyright to that. Cut it out. Whatever you got to do. Anyways, I appreciate you listening. Appreciate you watching. If you like it, share it. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Hit the like. Lou's going to do it. And hit the alert bell. It lets you know when we go live. And I'll be back next Wednesday. Mark, maybe not. But definitely Lou and hopefully Tom. And one of these days we'll get Perry. He'll call in sick.
He'll be on.
We'll get him.
Yeah.
We'll get him.
Yeah.
And that's it, everybody. Mark, again, thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'll see